Yes, welcome to the very first edition of Helwanivision. I'm Ariel Helwani. Welcome inside our brand new New York City studio here on a lovely Saturday, October 19th. It's a lovely day outside, but we are inside right now. We are hanging out, and we are here to provide you with an alternate commentary feed, an alternate telecast, if you will, of what is to come right here exclusively on DAZN pay-per-view. Yes, of course, it's Battle of the Giants. It's going down live in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Right now, the early prelims have just finished. They're over. They're done with. And now we move ahead to the main card. It's the biggest card in PFL history. It's arguably the biggest card in Bellator history as well. It's a massive one headlined by Francis Ngannou versus Renan Ferreira. Also on the card, Chris Cyborg versus Larissa Pacheco. Also on the card, AJ McKee versus Paul Hughes. Also on the card, Fabian Edwards versus Johnny Eblen 2. A fantastic 5-pack of fights. And so what exactly is this? What exactly did you click on here? Well, this isn't your usual watch-along where it's, me and you watching fights, but you can't actually see the fights. No. On this particular channel, if you will be able to watch the fights with me and a whole host of guests. Yes, for the main event, Jake Paul is going to be joining us. For the co-main event, Megan Anderson is going to be joining us. Chael Sonnen for the Eblen fight as well. We'll have Tim Welch. We'll have Tyron Woodley. A who's who of characters will be sitting back, relaxing, chilling, talking, conversing, all that stuff and more. What does this look like, you ask? It looks like this, my friends. You see, there are our friends, Randy Couture, Dan Hardy, Sean O'Connell. They're doing their thing. You can watch their feed, or I suggest you hang out and have a grand old time with us and watch our feed. See, you can hear them a little bit. You'll get to see all the action, all the sights, all the sounds from over there in Riyadh. It's like you're at a bar just hanging out with your boys. The boys in the back are here as well in our new uncrowned studios. It's going to be amazing, and I can't wait for this because obviously Francis Ngannou's on this card, and we haven't seen him compete in MMA since January of 2022. We'll get into his whole story all throughout the day, and of course we'll have a post show for you on our brand new YouTube channel as well, so stay tuned for that. But, back in 2020, I was at home during the pandemic. It was WrestleMania. I was very depressed, and they called upon everyone's favorite pal, Rob Gronkowski, to be the sort of MC of WrestleMania. And so we've called upon him to do the same exact thing for us here. Now, I will admit, I did resist this. Why? Because I'm a diehard fan of the Buffalo Bills, and I hated Rob Gronkowski when he played for the Patriots. But he seems like a nice guy, so let's say hello to Gronk now. Hi, Gronk. How are you?
Hey, Ariel, what's up, my man? Are you from Buffalo or what? Because I'm from Buffalo, and I was a Bills fan growing up. So please explain to me how you became a Bills fan.
Okay, so here's the thing, my man. That's why you're allowed to be here. That's why I'm okay with this, because you're a Western New York guy, and we always held out hope that you would come home because we always knew, let's be honest, that you wanted to be a Buffalo Bill. We always knew that. I'm from Canada. I'm from Montreal. So the closest team in the early 90s to me were the Buffalo Bills, Thurman Thomas, Jim Kelly, Bruce Smith. Those were my guys. And unfortunately, you and that other guy, number 12, broke my heart a lot. But the times, they haven't changed, Rob. The times, they haven't changed. Now we're the beasts of the East. So I feel a lot better.
Yes, I was a big fan growing up of the Buffalo Bills, obviously, as a kid, going to some of the games. Punt, pass, and kick was always there. The regional outing was always there at halftime, so I always got to throw a pass whenever I made it that far at the halftime of the Bills game as a kid, which was always really cool. And then when I got drafted to the New England Patriots, I didn't really like the Bills so much anymore. And then once I retired, went down to Tampa Bay. I was kind of more of a Bills fan because they weren't in the division anymore. But I truly do, deep down, I'm a Bills fan once again. I took off being a Bills fan for 10, 12 years. But Bills, I'm from Buffalo. It'll always be in my heart where I grew up. And right now, I'm definitely cheering for them. I love Josh Allen as well.
Were you ever close? Were you ever close to coming home?
I was kind of close. So I would say after my first year in Tampa Bay, I talked to the Bills a little bit, and I was definitely checked out my options to go there because it would have been really cool, to go to play for your hometown team. I mean, that was always in back of my mind since I was a kid. How cool would that be to play for the Buffalo Bills, the team that I grew up watching? So I definitely talked to them a little bit. It just didn't work out. It just made a lot more sense for myself to stay in Tampa Bay my second year, in Tampa. So after that, though, then I retired. I was talking to them again real quick, but I knew my time was done. And if I played maybe 1 or 2 more years, it would have been really cool to do it for the Bills.
All right. Well, what might have been, what might have been. Today, of course, we're here to watch some MMA. Very excited about this. By the way, when you were the MC for that WrestleMania event at the Performance Center, remember that? That was a crazy time. You came out to like a crazy, song and dance moves you were showing off to us. You remember that when you walked down? Are we?
Yes, I do. It was like a LMFAO type style song. It was just all about dancing and party rocking. I was flailing my feet, kicking my legs all over the place. It was a good time, man. I came out shaking my booty. But what was supposed to be really special that just didn't happen because of COVID and myself going back to the game of football as well. I was supposed to do WWE and we were going to team up and we were going to do something really, really big. And I was going to be a part of a couple matches as well and actually learn how the WWE worked and learn how to fight as well in the ring and actually have a couple matches versus some big time opponents. But with COVID going down, then I eventually only hosted the WrestleMania aspect of it over the microphone. But I did get to jump off the top of the ledge that I was on. It was about 12 feet high and landed on top of like 8 guys and stole the belt, the 24/7 champ belt right there and then. And Vince McMahon, he showed me that move. He's the one who jumped off the 12-foot ledge first to show me how it was done. But unfortunately, then I went back to football. So me going in the ring and having all the fights, that just didn't happen. And we agreed to, part ways after the WrestleMania because I was going back to football.
What was the match? Like, was there an actual match on
There was
paper?
an actual match. Yes, I was supposed to be a tag team match. It was supposed to be Mojo Rawley, who was in the WWE at the time, who was my friend. And we were going to actually have a match in Saudi Arabia when they go over there. And it was supposed to be one of the finalist matches. It's kind of, would say, along the Jake Paul route, what he's doing with the WWE right now, but he took it to a whole nother level with how successful he is. But it was supposed to be along that type of trail, and get it out there and have some big matches. But I forgot who it was supposed to be against, but that was in the talks right before I left to go back to football. It would have been really cool. I'm a big WWE fan, and they're blowing up right now as well.
Yes, absolutely. As am I. Also, obviously, a big MMA fan. You're a big guy. Main event, 2 big guys, Francis Ngannou. I heard you on the prelim broadcast, but I don't know if you actually gave us a prediction. Who are you going for, Francis or Ngannou in the main event?
I'm definitely going for Francis Ngannou. I mean, I love his story. I love how he just attacks a guy right at the beginning of the match. I mean, he's knocked out so many opponents. I mean, what is it, within like 2 minutes of his matches, how many TKOs he has. So that just shows his confidence. I loved how he did that crossover as well into the boxing world and fought Tyson and actually dominated that match as well. That was really cool to see. So I'm just a big fan of his. I'm a big fan of giant guys. I just know how hard it is for someone that has a lot of mass on their body to get it moving and to be athletic. I mean, I'm about the same size as Francis. I mean, he's 6'6", 260 pounds, right?
Yeah.
I'm actually 6'6", 265 pounds. So we have similar qualities, similar traits, but he has traits where he could absolutely knock people out and knock me out in a matter of seconds. I don't have that trait. I had a different type of trait using my athleticism and size on the football field, but mentally you got to both be tough and physical and ready to go. And I just love his game, but with Renan Ferreira as well. I think I'm getting his name right. Renan Ferreira.
You're nailing
Correct?
it. You're killing it, Gronk.
Yes,
You're killing it.
I'm nailing it right on. I like it. What I really like about his game is that he uses his length to his advantage. And that's kind of what I did as well in the NFL. I mean, I wasn't faster than guys. I was covered as well. But even though I was covered, Tom would throw the ball up in the air. And with my length and my size, I was able to use that to be able to make the catch.
Yeah, I don't need to be reminded of this. You broke my heart many times. I don't need to be reminded of you scoring touchdowns with Tom throwing it up. It's all good. By the way, were those balls, were they inflated or deflated? I'm just kidding. No, it's a joke.
Those ones were all inflated, but when I grunt spiked them, they all got deflated because I have so much power in my spike, and that's probably what happened when we played the Colts. I just had too many grunt spikes that game.
That's right. One more thing for you. We've seen Frank Gore go over. We've seen Darren Williams from the NBA go over and have a boxing match. Obviously, Jake and all these guys. Would you ever do something like that, boxing or MMA?
I definitely, if I had to choose, to be in the fight world and I was getting paid, a good amount of money to do it, if money was talking, I don't think the money could talk, for me to go into the MMA world. I think that's a lot more dangerous than the boxing world, and it's a lot more technical as well. I feel like if I was to go in the fighting world, it would definitely be as a boxer. I mean, I respect the MMA guys to a whole nother level because of just how vicious it is, how you can kick, you can punch, you can do all that, and you can just scrap like no other. So I would choose the boxing world if the paycheck was big enough. I would fight Jake Paul. Tell him I would whoop his ass in the boxing ring.
All right.
When you talk to him later on, tell him to write me a check. I'll fight his ass.
All right. It's a deal. Thank you very much for joining us, Rob. Appreciate it. You're great for the sport. You're a great guy to hang out with. I take back sort of everything that I said about you guys. You did break my heart, but if we could just get one, all will really be forgiven. Enjoy the fights, my man. Thanks for joining us. Have a great time and keep up all the great things that you're doing.
Well, here we go. I can just tell you another fact that maybe you'll like me a little bit more is that I love Canada. Obviously, I'm from Buffalo, so Canada was right there, 30 minutes away. The drinking age was 19, so when I was 19, I was always over the border in Clifton Hill on the Niagara Falls side. So, that puts us together even more why we should like each other. And we're both going to Ngannou tonight. Let's go, Ngannou.
Let's go, Rob. Let's go,
Ariel.
You're the man. Thank you so much. Enjoy the fights.
Hey, thank you for having me on, man. I miss you already.
All right. I miss you too. There he is. Rob Gronkowski. What a guy. What a mensch. And what a scene. What a scene this is. There's Randy Couture. So if you've been watching, they brought out all the flags of all the fighters being represented. Randy Couture, the former UFC heavyweight champion and light heavyweight champion, walking out with the Super Fights title. That's the belt that's on the line in the Francis Ngannou fight. That's the belt that's on the line in the Pacheco Cyborg fight. And notable, especially for Cyborg, she could become a 5-promotion champion. I don't know what that would that be, a quintet promotion champion? Obviously Strikeforce, Bellator, Invicta, UFC, and now this one. Now, it's not the traditional PFL title, but it's pretty darn close. There's the lineup right there. Those are all the fights that you're getting. And in a matter of moments, Tyron Woodley is going to hang out and watch the A.J. McKee-Paul Hughes fight with us. And by the way, what a story from our own Pete Carroll for the young man, about the young man, I should say, from Ireland, Paul Hughes, who has spent some time in Australia as well. If you go to uncrowned.com, you can read it while you're watching us as well. This is a man who has been through a lot, multiple breaks in both hands, has had to overcome a lot, dealt with some contract issues with his previous promotion, Cage Warriors, but finally became a free man earlier this year, decided to sign with PFL, made his PFL/Bellator debut in June, was victorious, and I think a lot of people thought they would ease him into the season, if you will, come 2025, but here he is in the biggest fight of his career, the toughest fight of his career by far, against the former Bellator featherweight champion, A.J. McKee, who has looked solid, I would say, at 155 pounds. A.J. McKee had by far his best fight as a lightweight. The last time we saw him, which was, oh, by the way, back in Saudi Arabia, that was against Clay Collard. He had the fight against Patricio Pitbull at 145 a few years ago. We all thought that would be the fight that would propel him into superstardom status. He wins that fight. Remember, afterwards with the champagne, he's on the cage, he's loving life. We all thought, all right, this is the guy. This is the first homegrown star that Bellator in the Scott Coker era has made. They take a long-ass time to get him back in there. He comes back, he loses to Pitbull, and then he decides to move up to 55. We understand that the weight cuts were tough for him. The first 3 fights at 55 were okay, nothing to really write home about. didn't seem as explosive as he did at 45, but the guy that we saw against Clay Collard was a whole different can of worms. He was fantastic. And so obviously this is a big step up for Paul Hughes, but it's also an important fight for McKee as he continues to try and prove that he's still that dude, as they say, the guy, him. I'm going to put my Bills thing back. Yeah, there it is. Head for head up. Francis Ngannou, main event. So we got that fight. We got the Pacheco-Cyborg fight. Eblen is going to be a great one. Eblen against Edwards, too. There was some bad blood there the first time they fought. Not as much this time around, and I'm looking forward to having Chael P with me. There is one fight that's kind of flying under the radar. It's Hussein Kadi Magomeov going up against Zafar Mohsen. This really does feel like a local fight that they're putting on the pay-per-view. Two solid prospects, if you will. Tim Welch will join us for that one. But for this first fight, wanted to call upon our old friend Tyron Woodley to hang out with us. He knows AJ McKee quite well. He's one of the best commentators in the business. He has done some commentary work, of course, for PFL this season and done a fantastic job. But he said, he said to the guys I heard, they're like, do you want to go to Riyadh or do you want to do Helwanivision? And he said Helwanivision. Let's say hello to the realist, Tyron Woodley. There he is.
Let's go. What's up, my guy?
How are you, Tyron?
Man, I'm happy to be on the Helwanivision. First time first, you know what I mean? Blessed and thankful that you had me a part of it.
Yeah, so you're our first guest. Technically, we had Rob just kind of set things up, but as far as the fights are concerned, and one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on was because you have a long-standing relationship with AJ McKee, right?
For sure. Yeah, AJ McKee, I've known him since he was in high school. I think he was a freshman in high school, maybe even in middle school. I was training with his father, Antonio McKee, which is one of the best MMA coaches in the world. But AJ never had that hesitation. Even as a young kid, he was always trying to wrestle me. I remember leaving practice all scratched up because he was scratching, trying to take me down. But he never thought it was a chance that I shouldn't be able to take him down. Though he's a two-time All-American, though he's a ranked MMA fighter. At that time, I wasn't a champion yet. But just that ability to not have that hesitation makes him a very dangerous fighter. I don't want to compare names, but when you think about fighters without hesitation, we think about like a John Jones, right? Skill set, they're different. They fight completely different. But John Jones is inside tripping. He's double leg taking down Daniel Cormier. He's doing different things that you may not think will work in an MMA fight based upon what everybody else technique. AJ's that guy. He's doing weird submissions. And in the room, you know what I mean? I seen the face off. He said, no, I'm going to break you. I'm going to whoop your ass. I'm going to break you. And it sounds like that's what the fans want to hear. But this is how they talk to each other in practice. This is what it's like at a body shop in Long Beach, right? And they do it and they train hard. And he's a special, special talent.
We're seeing Paul Hughes here making his official PFL debut. He fought for Bellator in June in Ireland. But I just want to stick with AJ if I can. What's the dynamic like with his dad? Because I know AJ, obviously senior, that is, I mean, legend of the game, a guy who took no BS from anyone, kind of wasn't the flashiest guy, but just got it done. And I see the relationship that he has with his son, and it's tough. And it's always interesting when you see the father-son relationship in the fight game. We've seen this throughout time, and it's always fascinating to me how that dynamic works. From what you saw in terms of how Senior was with Junior and how he brought him up and how tough he was on him, what could you tell us?
I mean, he didn't really have to be as tough on AJ, to be honest. I mean, AJ was always internally motivated. And whether it's AJ or anybody, any coach is kind of a father figure, right? Any coach that you are trusting, the trust that he has from AJ, the ability to say, hey, you know what? I need you to go and get this takedown. Or, hey, like he told me, I talked to Antonio the other day, actually yesterday. I talked to Antonio yesterday. It's like 3 o'clock in the morning. I can't sleep. So I talked to him and he said, this kid that AJ's fighting is a dog, right? He said, this kid is real tough. He said, but AJ likes it. AJ said, I can't wait to just punch him in the face, right? And when you have a relationship of just genuineness and realness and not just saying what you think everybody want to hear, if he's not feeling good, if he's walking around and he's nursing something or if he just don't feel like himself, he's going to really honestly and truly say that to his father. And me and Antonio have a relationship where he would translate that to me. So when I spoke to him, I said, I'm going to talk about AJ and I'm going to talk about Paul tomorrow. let me know what's different about this training camp. Let me know what he did inside. He said, AJ is breaking all his records. Antonio does a lot of tracking of, like, he put a meter in your boxing gloves to track the punches. I'm nowhere near these guys. Neither was Chuck Liddell. Neither was Rampage. We're a little bit older. These young guys are punching 900 times a round, right? I think I was at like 300 or 400, right? So he said he's PR'd on all levels, which means that doesn't mean he's going to throw a special combination. That means that his volume and his endurance to be able to punch somebody. So when someone said, I'm going to break you, right? When you have the stats in the calculations to show that I am punching more volume punches per round than I've ever done in my life, and I'm fighting against a tough guy. This kid Paul is really slick. He's sharp. He got good timing. I'm not going to compare him to Conor, but they check hook for the knockout. You got to think about it. He's been watching Conor, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Conor's known for his
time. He has said Conor's his hero. Like he looked up to Conor growing up in Northern Ireland.
Conor had amazing timing, right? That's what separated him. And he also was playing the mind game. That's how he got Jose Aldo to come off the ripper and run forward. He slipped him and clipped him with a shot. We seen Paul with the same kind of deal. AJ smart enough and Antonio smart enough to watch that on film, watch that on video, and be prepared for it.
Yeah, Paul Hughes is someone who, like I said earlier, decided to go the PFL route as opposed to the UFC route. He had 2 offers on the table coming out of Cage Warriors. He said it was a no-brainer just because of the money that was being offered to him. And PFL does have to, overpay for free agents because they're trying to compete with the UFC eventually down the road. And so he looked solid, I thought, in his debut back in June. But this is a massive, massive step up. And I have to say, I was a little surprised because everything seemed to be gearing up for him to be a part of the PFL season in 2025. So I thought they'd kind of ease him in, get 2 nice wins, and then he can debut at 155 for the new season in April. They're giving him AJ McKee, who's only a slight favorite going into this fight. But even Dan Hardy told our own PT Carroll yesterday, he too was surprised. He thought this was too big of a jump initially when he heard about it. Do you think he is making a mistake by taking this fight? We're getting it in right before the fight starts. What do you think? Is this too big of a jump for Paul considering
I don't think
he's fought?
I don't think it's too big of a jump, but I did watch you guys. Yeah, I had interviewed him earlier, and he said he waits on no one. He wants to fight. When a young kid want to fight, let him fight because you don't know who he can be. You remember that time when I wanted to fight Carlos Condon and I was screaming and yelling? People thought I was crazy, and I got the job done. So at the end of the day, I don't think it's too early. He did give AJ a lot of credit. Right? He did talk about how dangerous and how good he was. And he did say, I watched him. Both of these guys are giving each other credit, right? That means they train and prepare properly based upon what they saw on film. But one thing that I did see, Paul said that AJ, he got the work done. He already won his belts. And, he was talking about him like he was me, or like he's in his 40s. AJ's not 30 yet. And AJ is still getting better. He's still a young fighter with maybe only 50% reach towards the ceiling. So when you look at Paul, if he's thinking that he's a younger, more fresh fighter, and he's going to try to use youth as a weapon, I think he may walk into some stuff.
So AJ's last 4 fights have all been victories since he moved up to 155. But I feel like the last one against Clay Collard in Saudi Arabia was his best. The first couple, it didn't seem like he was fully comfortable at 55. What have you seen in terms of the difference between him as a lightweight as opposed to a featherweight?
I mean, his manhood just dropped down a little bit. You know what I mean? When you think about his strength, when you think about his power, when you think about his experience, right? He's pressing towards 30 fights. So when you start looking at someone that's younger, right? They're learning on the go, right? They're making mistakes and correcting those mistakes and becoming a better fighter, right? I feel like he's comfortable on his back. He's comfortable in brawls. He's comfortable in point fighting. He's comfortable kicking. He's comfortable punching. He's comfortable wrestling. And if you happen to take him down, you know what I mean? He's very long. So when you are a guy with that length, like him or Max Holloway, you can go from 45 to a 55, even a 70, just because he's 5'10". So I feel like he's understanding his body more and using his length and his strengths.
Shout out to Big Dan, New Jersey's finest. All right, Tyron, we're going to watch this fight together. This is
Let's
good
do
stuff.
it.
You can see the fight too, right?
I can see the fight for sure.
Yeah, here we go. Okay, can we get a prediction right before it starts, right now?
I feel like it's going to be a first-round finish.
Wow.
For AJ McKee.
Sub or knockout?
I think it's going to be a submission. I feel like Paul has some strong hands, and I feel like he may land some shots. and it may end up in the clinch because he pressed forward. He sits back, and then he comes forward a little bit. So I think that's going to get us in the clinch, and I think from that position, you're going to see AJ do his work on the grappling. That's his advantage. If I would say the strongest advantage AJ has is his submission and his grappling.
Yes. He's had plenty of great submission and had an amazing one not that long ago when he fought Clay Collard. So, yes, you are here with us. Helwanivision. Tyron Woodley is here with us as well. That was a triangle armbar back in February. What do we see? What do we see here?
Right now, we see exactly what we said. You know, Paul's taking his time, but he's going to start walking forward. Here goes that wrestling clinch I talked about. When you start talking about Clay Collard, that's one of the best strikers in the entire PFL. So when you see the way he's going towards him, there we go with the flying knee. All right. We go with the grappling. Clinch. This is where you win the battles at right here. A lot of guys exhaust themselves and they overexert energy in this clinch position. AJ is going to understand. See, he came right up to the body lock. He understands that I'm not going to get the single leg. The guy has his defense too tight. Now, what Hughes needs to do right here is circle off. He needs to circle off and get his back to the center of the cage, the smart cage, so he can start utilizing striking. He started getting some shots off, right? And I felt like he may have gotten some shots off. That's why I said earlier, that's going to start the clinch, and that's where we're seeing right now.
I mean, obviously, the knock on the European fighters back in the day has always been their lack of grappling, but they've come a long way. And Hughes is kind of this new generation who look really good in Cage Warriors, but everyone would agree has never fought anyone as talented as AJ McKee. And even in his debut in Bellator back in June, he, the first round was a little troublesome, but then he figured things out, and that was a big one for him. That was back, in Ireland, in Dublin, at the 3 Arena, so there was a lot of pressure on his shoulders. So I'm curious to see how he looks.
Yeah, you definitely see a lot of European fighters at least be able to neutralize, at least be able to get to a place where it's 2 against 1, meaning that the cage is going to help me defend the shot as well as my defense. Right now, this is where Hughes needs to be at. He needs to be pressing forward, give a little bit of space, and then once he see AJ come forward, then try to throw more hands. But AJ's doing the right thing. He's not using a lot of energy here. You see, he got the wrist control to minimize damage, but he's also leaning with his body and he's using his legs to put heavy weight on Paul.
Feels like Paul is waiting for that shot, right? He's tried to time that knee twice. First time he may have connected, not the second.
I mean, the knee is something that you don't want to play around with, play games with. AJ is ducking his head too often for my comfort, and I feel like somebody throw 5 of them, one of them gonna land. Now we just dealing with where did it land flush, and how do you recover? See, this is the part right here where I feel like AJ is way more comfortable than he's looking. Right now he's taking some shots from above though. Listen. Don't get it twisted. He getting hit.
Paul's game.
Yeah, but I think the good thing about that is both fighters knew that each other were going to be tough opponents. And I love to see these young fighters willing to take a challenge sooner than for a title fighter, 10 fights down the road, 20 fights down the road.
I don't know what the boos are about. This has been fun so far.
I was about to say it's only 4 minutes into the fight. It's been pretty action-packed.
Yeah. One thing that's important to note here, Tyron, all the unified rules of MMA are allowed here. So elbows are allowed. This is
elbows are allowed.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. One time I was on the desk and they were asking me, Tyron, what would you do for this position? I said, I would elbow him. Yeah. They said, well, you can't elbow in the PFL. I said, you didn't ask me what you can do in the PFL. You asked me what I would do.
How do you feel about that? How do you feel about that? I feel like they should allow
I think you should allow the elbows. I don't like knees to the head when the opponent's ground. Kind of the prior rules.
So the thought is just that guys would get cut up and then they won't be able to advance in the tournaments?
I feel like it takes more space to create and throw a punch. You can be losing a fight, and if you can just get a couple elbows and cut somebody across the eye, that can change the tide of the fight. But I feel like in general, it takes more technique to create space to throw a punch.
I would love to see them use them for all the fights, but they'll use them for these sort of one-off events. I thought that was a really fun round. Ooh, another knee.
Hey, we got to watch out for them knees.
Ooh! Oh! He rocked him there.
He rocked him really well.
And by the way,
let's see if he recovers.
The round just went like an extra 4 seconds. I think Margliata didn't hear it.
Did that shot come before or after the round?
I think it came right before the end. That was a nice.
Yeah. Right now, that round, I mean,
here's
it's
the replay.
Tough. I mean, we can't see can we see the time?
No. Look at that right hand. That right hand rocked him.
Yeah, the right hand rocked him. Paul has some heavy hands.
I would say pretty easy 10-9 for Paul, right?
I wouldn't say pretty easily, but I would probably
especially with that fight. I mean, he was.
Yeah. I mean, he ended the round. If it was close before the end, then he took it over. Also, when you think about, the knee strikes, when you think about the pressure, he kept AJ back against the cage. And then also the times where AJ was going for the takedown, he did a great job of defending it. So I would say clear, maybe one judge sitting there that gave it to AJ, but AJ definitely needs to get on the horse. He definitely need to think about 2 and 3.
Shout out to CR7.
That's what happened with these 3-round fights.
Yeah, no, it's a quick sprint.
You gotta go fast.
Cristiano Ronaldo in the house. That's pretty cool. What do you think Senior was telling Junior in between round 1 and 2 here?
He told him he lost a round.
He
told him to pick it up. I mean, I can't hear him, but I know McKee.
Yeah.
Hey, put your hands up. You leaning too much on that knee. Don't force the takedown. You don't have to. If I was coaching, which I'm not, and I don't have the relationship that his father had, I would stick to long strikes. Paul has only done great on short hooking, overhands, left hooks, and things from like middle distance to close range. I would stick to long jabs, push kicks, keep him off of you, and that way when he throws a shot, you can see it, evade back, and count on it.
McKee's reach 3.5 inches longer than Paul Hughes, so he should try to use that to his advantage. Although he wants to get this fight to the ground, probably, right? So in doing so, he's trying to keep the fight close as well.
Yeah, I mean, we need to keep that left hand up.
Yeah.
We need to quit ducking our head. You can disguise the takedowns with shots. Throw 3 or 4 punches fast towards the head, get him to cover, and then go for the shots. Otherwise, I mean, Hughes is committed to that knee. He's committed to landing it. He's committed to that right hand. There we go again, right hand. It's still a pretty competitive fight. Looking outside, we love to see nonstop action, but if you're actually fighting in a fight like this, you're going to be breathing hard in a little bit.
By the way, we were seeing a lot of clinching in the first round. There's been a lot of clinching that's been in the, in the news as of late. People were upset about the Jose Aldo fight. Conor McGregor put out a point system. Did you happen to see that where, there's a clock and all that stuff? Do you think that should come into play?
I feel like it's called mixed martial arts. I love watching striking. I love a knockout. I love good kicks. But you got to also give time and room for the other martial arts to exist, unless you want to just switch it over to striking. So when people want to, nobody's going to say, okay, stop punching, right? Okay, well, stop elbowing or stop kicking. You can't tell somebody to stop grappling because sometimes it takes a little bit to gain that position, or maybe sweat involved, right? Or maybe if I do this, he's going to escape and I'm going to be in a bad situation. So it takes a little time sometimes. Right now, I feel like AJ is doing a good job of understanding where he needs to be at. He needs to be with his back to the center of the cage. He needs to be pressing Hughes forward. He does not need to be backing up because his left hand is dropping too often, and he's going to look at a knee, he's going to look at a right hand. Shoulder punches right here, foot stumps, and then try to lock a body lock and pull him off the cage, almost like it's like a backboard. Pull him off the cage and then get him down and go to work. When you get him on the ground, he got to really go to work.
If I'm Paul Hughes, I'm feeling good, right? Like my confidence is only growing when all the talk was that this is maybe too big of a step up for me.
I mean, if I'm him and if I'm his coaches, he's looking good. I mean, I haven't seen a million of his fights. I saw a few fights. But what I would be like, hey, do what you're doing. It's kind of like when I fought Roy McDonald. Roy McDonald never closed the gap all the way. He came in just enough where he knew where his range was at, and he waited and he started to try to pick shots. It was very difficult to fight that way. And that's what Paul is doing right now to AJ. He's getting close enough where he may be able to get hit with a jab, but he can step back and come forward because he needs to come forward.
Is that below the belt?
What time is it in Saudi Arabia?
Right now, they are 7 hours ahead, so it's 11:34 p.m.
Okay, that's not too bad for the first fight. You start getting to the main event, it's weird when you see guys fighting 3, 4 in the morning.
Yo, I went to that Francis fight against AJ. It was at like 3:30 in the morning. It was
And
brutal.
do you think it affects the guy's performance?
I mean, AJ looked fine. Francis said afterwards that he was sleepy. And I still maintain they had that UFC pay-per-view in Manchester, and Leon fought at like 5 in the morning. Bilal got mad that I brought this up. I was just saying, I think if that fight happens at a normal time, Leon doesn't look as lethargic. Everyone handles these things differently.
I mean,
but like, come on, 5 in the morning?
I feel like when Jake fought Fury, I feel like it was lethargic looking. I felt like anytime you fight in a huge different time zone, I don't care how many days you get out early and try to acclimate, it ain't nothing like, why am I fighting at 4 in the morning?
Right.
Oh. Capitalize. Take his back, leg in, and tell AJ McKee right now he needs to really, really understand that this is that's almost like a turnover, a fumble, right? So he need to really, really, really press the issue on a back take right now, cross wrist control, and looking for the neck, right? And trying to keep Hughes down because Hughes is starting to get in a rhythm. He's starting to get his time. He's starting to get confident. You don't want to let a young, spunky fighter start to get confidence.
Who do you have this round for?
It's close right now.
Close.
Maybe. I don't want to sound like I'm showing favoritism to my dog AJ, but it's close. I wouldn't be surprised if they said AJ won, but if they said Paul won too, I can see he started off strong.
I mean, I would say Paul first round, you can make a case. I mean, he's landing some big shots. In terms of damage, it feels like Paul's the one doing the damage.
Yeah, like I told you, man, you see that middle close distance?
Yeah.
That's the range AJ needs to stay away from. Those knees, see, that was a 6 inches away from being night-night, right? So you got to keep them long, keep them jabbed, teeps to the face, long strikes, step back, throw fast punches, then go for a takedown. If I'm Antonio, even if they're, hello?
Yeah.
I'm listening to him. He's saying throw you straight left, straight down the middle. He's trying to cut you off.
That was a better round.
I agree with that. It was a better round, but I would tell him, act like you lost that round. Act like you need to finish.
I'm a big proponent of open scoring, Tyron. Like, wouldn't it be great if AJ knew where he stood right now? Or do you think it's more detrimental?
I'm a huge advocate of that. Everybody will fight differently. If you up, maybe you won't go out there and just swing for the finishes. If you're losing, maybe have a little bit more urgency. So more people need to adopt that, open scoring.
The detractors say, oh, if you know you're up 2 rounds to none, you're just going to chill. But, like, you can't just run around the cage. You still have to engage.
I mean, let me tell you this. Are we going to really act like the fans are less educated than some of the judges? No, some of the fans are more educated than the judges. Some of them actually wrestled before and know how big of a deal it is if Paul Hughes takes AJ down, right, versus the opposite. Or, you know what I mean? So I think open scoring, it'll be too many people judging for it to be a huge percentage of error, right?
But if they flashed it on the screen right now and AJ's like, all right, I'm down 2 rounds to none, I need to go for broke, maybe he's not doing this right now. And maybe go for broke for him is to try to get a sub. But
I'm curious on what takedown what if he gets his takedown, I'm curious on, is he trying to advance to a back take? Because once you get it, what's the advancement, right? If you're looking at this fight, Ariel, are you thinking that Paul's up 2-0?
Certainly 1-0. I could see a very strong case for 2.
So one judge at least got him up 2-0, guaranteed, out of 3 judges, right? So now he has to not only win this round, he would have to either try to do a 10-8 or finish based upon one judge minimum. It's at least one judge that gave 2 rounds to Paul, right?
100%.
Yeah, and when you're fighting, you can't think about all that. Cross wrist. The body lock is, anytime you got the body lock, the person can always get underhook, turn their body, use the cage once again, right? Once you grab that cross wrist, you control that one side of their body. So if AJ takes his right hand and grabs Paul's left wrist, Now he can take his left hand, post it, and almost like pull him down to the mat where now he has no post. So if I got 4 legs on the table, I'm going to take away 1 leg and I'm going to take your whole body to the missing leg. That's what he needs to do in this situation, because right now it's been 2 or 3 rounds of him trying for this particular takedown, being in this particular position, and he has not done anything damage-worthy where it's going to make the referee want to step in and stop the fight. That's what it needs to be looking like really soon. Halfway through this round, he needs to be looking that way.
He has not really advanced from this spot, right? There's never been a position where he's threatened for anything past here with a submission, and that's what he's trying to. He's trying to get him down to submit him, right?
Yeah, cross wrist right here, like the right hand of AJ grabbing the wrist, the left wrist of Paul. He can grab that wrist and he can just really rake him right to the left, and he don't have it.
Look at Paul.
No, Paul wants this win.
Damn. Ooh, spinning back fist. I mean, Paul rocked him twice there with the left. I am supremely impressed. I wasn't blown away by Paul in June in his Bellator debut. They called his signing the biggest free agent signing of the year. He is backing it up right now. This is a very impressive performance against a former featherweight champion who's
right now
lightweight.
Right now, like the fight that he fought before may not have looked as impressive, but right now he's found his range and he's found what's working for him, and he hasn't aborted it. He's nonstop in that middle distance close range against AJ, and AJ right now is looking like the fight's catching up to him, right? And he's also looking like, I'm looking for a big move, but I don't see it quite yet, right?
There's nothing there. You mentioned the right hand. The right hand is down. He is connecting with that left every time, it seems. There's nothing going on. I mean, look, we were debating round 2. This is very clearly Paul Hughes' round, right?
Really?
I
don't know. I mean, so far the first portion was AJ clinching. Once again, this is MMA, but we already know you're gonna score the powerful
damage
striking. One thing that Paul has on his side, this fight and every other fight, anytime you can punch somebody and you see the grimace and you see the power and you see how much he's throwing with it, that's going to score higher. A Robbie Lawler punch is going to score higher, right, than 5,000 Tim Mean punches, right? So when you're looking at this, I would have to maybe agree.
To me, this is at worst 29-28 for Paul Hughes, unless something dramatic happens here in the last 6 seconds. This is a fantastic performance by the young man from Northern Ireland.
It's so funny when I call him Paul a young man, because AJ used to be the young man, but technically he's 29 years old. So when you look at it, this is, if it's a victory, it's a big victory for him. It's a former world champion, a kid that's, Pitbull is no slouch, right? And that was a close fight, a lot of people said. So technically, this kid, he may have had the best victory of his career.
Absolutely. He's only 2 years younger, so there's not a massive difference. Paul does look a little younger, but I was impressed. What were you most impressed by as far as Paul, as we look back at the highlights of the fight?
I was most impressed by his consistency and his IQ of understanding. Like sometimes you win or you can't see what you're doing is working, and your coach has got to tell you, you got to watch it on film. He's right there. Look at him. He's in range knowing that this is my range. I found it. Let me stay right here. Let me stay right here. Let me disengage the clinch, right? And let me get to the middle range. Because from close range to middle range is one step, right? He took one step back, and that's where he started finding those body shots, those overhand right hooks. And we'll see what happens, but
the boxing was crisp, huh?
No, he was crispy.
Look, by the way, I know you do a lot of work over there in the Middle East. I
was just there.
Yeah, you're just like, that's my spot.
It's so funny looking at it this way because like all these spots I've been to.
Are you coming back to MMA? I saw some stuff. Are you coming back? You got something in the works. What do you got? Break some news for us here.
I'm coming back to MMA. I never really left. I just took a break. I needed a break from there's a lot of politics, a lot of, how do I say this without being ungrateful for my opportunity to show the world I was the best in the world. It was a lot of things that went into fighting that wasn't just fighting. So I needed a break. And then the Jake Paul fights, they were so fun. I've always wanted to box. You know what I mean? I didn't have to cut from 205 all the way down to 170. You know what I mean? It was a nice payday. It was a great it was a great time for me to be excited about fighting. I switched it up, right? Now I feel like training in Miami, training, you know what I mean, not having to cut weight, only doing one martial art, right? I was training hard, but it's something about being negative 14 degrees in Milwaukee and having to do 4 or 5 different martial arts. I need to get back to that mode.
Your first, Hadi Ali.
Well, I have much more to ask you about here, but let's hear.
28. He sees it for Hughes.
29. Oh, split
Your
decision, it sounds
second
like.
judge.
Told you.
Mark Collette, 29-28, scoring the fight for McKee.
Nah, come
Your
on.
third and final judge, Sal D'Amato,
Come on, Sal.
29-28 for the winner by split decision. Big news!
Yeah, that's the right call.
It was a good performance by Paul Hughes. Let's say that. Obviously, AJ is my dog, but I can't be a commentator and then
Nah, you
be
keep it
biased,
real.
right?
Yeah, no.
I got to keep it real. He found his range, and I feel like for a young fighter that understands this is working and have the IQ to continue, he's a dangerous one.
Very,
and he's got
fired
power,
up, Paul Hughes,
and he's hard to take down.
You're a
Yeah.
superstar. I want to get to that. But
He's very emotional there. There was a lot at stake in this fight because he signed that big contract, and then he took the fight back home. It was all built around him, and then he gets this win. So congratulations to Paul. Commiserations to
One
AJ.
time for Paul.
Yeah. Shout out, big news. Okay, so what do you got for us? When is the return coming?
2025 return to MMA. Right now, I'm trying to get this body. I ain't touched a kneecap to a mat in so long. You know what I mean? I'm not just jumping back into it, and I'm not just coming back in to, you know what I mean, just come in to say I did it. When you look at the sport, the class of Woodley, right? The class that I was in, these guys are retiring or thinking about retiring, right? I want to get a run at it where people be like, dang, these guys are retiring, but Tyron's coming back, because you got to think my body's going to be fresher. I haven't had the wear and tear like I did back in the day, but I'm just going to take some time. I'm going to go out to AKA Thailand. I'm going to go out to Costa Rica with my coach GT. I'm going to take 4 weeks to get away from everybody, the noise, women, you know what I mean? Just anything that can distract me, right?
Yeah.
So now I'm going to take that time to get in shape, get my body acclimated to once again grappling, once again wrestling, and then I'm going to take the full 8 weeks on the training camp. Because you got to recognize I've been jumping into fights with not much training camp. That ain't really my speed.
Do you have a deal in place? Do you have an offer on the table?
I have an offer on the table for sure, and I'm working on it right now.
With a
I
promotion,
feel like
with a specific promotion?
with a promotion, but I feel like that promotion is making other people want to, now that they know I'm want to do MMA, other people are coming up as well. So I'm negotiating with one, but I got a couple other people that want to piggyback. They want to hear what I'm getting offered there and maybe even match it or do something different.
When you say you're negotiating, you don't mean with one as in one championship. You mean you're negotiating with a singular promotion.
With the singular promotion.
Got it. All right.
There we go. See, that's why you the best.
Which promotion, by the way?
I can't say the promotion yet. It's a lot of NDA stuff in there. Plus, I don't want to give it away because it ain't done yet.
All right, fair enough.
I don't want to give them any leverage, right? Because technically, to have a 5-time world champion fight for a league outside the UFC, and I can say that it's outside the UFC. I can't say that.
Okay.
Right. So any league outside of the UFC to be able to utilize the UFC champion, they got to pay a little bit.
And
so
is there an opponent attached
contract
to this, or is it just promotion wants you to fight and we'll figure out the opponent? Sort of like Francis, there was no opponent initially attached.
It's very similar to that. And a shout out to Marquise Martin. Shout out to Francis. They really set the table. You know, we know exactly, at least minimum, what Henafed is making, right? We know that, right? Because it was in his contract. So you can't tell me that this guy's going to make $2 million, right? A fight, and I'm not. And I won 5 straps, right? So he kind of raised the bar. So shout out to those guys. You know, that was something creative, and I think it was great for the sport.
And is this a one-off, or do you think you'll be back for a few more?
It's multiple. It's a potential of multiple fights.
Interesting. All right. First half of the year, second half of the year, what are we thinking?
First half of the year, and don't forget, I started my own promotion company, the Realist International Promotion Trip.
Damn.
I will cap off the year fighting underneath my own banner.
Wow.
And launching it.
170 or 185?
185.
Okay, all right. Those weight cut days are over, huh?
I'm not gonna say it's over. I mean, for a lot of money and the right opportunity, you know what I mean, for sure. But I weighed 205. Those I never spoke on it. That's why I had no chills for Kelvin because I cut so much weight. I had no mercy for Johnny Hendricks. I did because you know what I mean. I felt bad for him a little bit, but at the end of the day, that's a lot of weight cutting. So I could do it. I could make it, but it would have to be a lot of money. It would have to be a fight that really excited me.
Tyron, you're the man. This was a lot of fun. Appreciate you joining us.
I appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, this was so much fun. Great insight. Tremendous insight. You did a great job. Love having you on. Love chatting with you. And this was just as expected. So well done. We'll talk to you soon and appreciate you stopping by on this Saturday.
I love my man. Be
there
blessed.
He is. The great Tyron Woodley. What a guy. Hit him up. He said, absolutely, I'll be there. So Paul Hughes, first big winner of this main card, this pay-per-view card. Massive win for Big News. I can't wait to talk to P.T. Carroll about that one. P.T. Carroll's been talking to me about Paul Hughes for the last 2-3 years, and everything that he has said about him has come to fruition. Like I said, he did a great piece on him on uncrown.com. Have you heard about uncrown.com? Our brand new website. Yeah, you know yourself. We got a brand new website. Next up, by the way, Zafar Mohsen is a somewhat of a local favorite, if you will, fighting out of Afghanistan. Actually born in Afghanistan, fighting out of Germany, going up against Hussein Kadi Magomev, fighting out of Switzerland, born in Chechnya. One for the locals, if you will. And we're going to be joined in a matter of moments by the Red Hawk himself. Do we have his music, Frank?
We do.
Oh, Frank's here on pay-per-view.
Hey, it's
Frank
a debut for everyone.
Pay-per-view debut, Frank. Pay-per-view, Frank.
You think we should do the proper welcoming to Tim?
Well, I didn't know. What? Look at Cristiano just hanging out with Francis and Eric Nixick. Yo, what a shot, man. That is awesome. I have to say, Nixick's hair looks fantastic, right? Would you ever do that, Frank?
Absolutely.
I think GC said he would be open to doing it.
I think he's already doing it.
Oh, is he doing it? Okay. Yeah, he said he was open to doing it, going to Turkey, getting the whole thing done. So here they are, Switzerland versus Germany, but in some respects it's also Chechnya versus Afghanistan. Hussein Kadimagomev has won 4 in a row, 25 years old. And Zafar Mohsen, who you're seeing right there, 3 in a row, 29 years old. Fighting out of Germania, Germany. They announced the 4 fights on this main card, and then they announced this one, and I think a lot of the hardcore fans were like, all right, we don't really know much about these guys. And I'm talking about the hardcores, not the casuals. So let's see if there's a reason. Let's see if there's something that we are missing here. And I'm not going to say that Tim drew the short straw, so to speak, but I wanted the mind of a coach here. No glitz, no glamour. I wanted someone to break it all down for us. Of course, Tim Welch, head man for the likes of Sugar Sean O'Malley, and so many others. Joining us from Arizona right now is the Red Hawk himself. Is he there? Yeah.
I'm here, brother. Loud and clear.
How are you, sir?
Doing good. I'm actually excited for this matchup. This one's fallen under the radar a bit.
Go ahead,
it really
Tim.
is.
Cook, Tim.
Hussein, 11-1 as a pro. He's got 6 KOs, 4 submissions, and the kid was 18-0 as an amateur. We got Zafar, 13-4, 7 KOs, 4 submissions, a southpaw. And Hussein has definitely fought the tougher competition here, but I don't think I think Zafar wanted tough fights, but he's had 7 out of the last 10 fights pull out.
Yes. You look at his Tapology page, by the way, it's like 1 fight, cancel, 1 fight, cancel. So perhaps he's the boogeyman. What about Tim coming on, crystal clear stream? He's got the headset, and he's got the notes, too. Look at you. You actually did research. There's no chance Chael did any research. He's coming on after you. There's 0 chance Chael did any research.
But Chael's the GOAT. He doesn't need to do research. But the first Helwanivision,
yes,
I got to come prepared.
Yeah, we're gonna Venmo you for this afterwards. Don't worry, okay?
Yeah, make sure it's heavy Venmo.
The best was Tim hitting me up and saying, "I'd love to do it, but I'm going to see who. Can I say who you're going to see tonight?
Yes.
Who are you going to see?
Ice Cube.
Yeah. You're going to an Ice Cube concert with your boy Suga, right?
Yeah, Suga Bash. I don't know if you know who that is, but he wants to meet Suga and hang out with him, so we're going to go do that.
Look at you. What a life. How are things? We haven't talked since Noche UFC. How are things since that fight with you and Suga? How are you guys feeling?
Everything's going pretty smooth. I just closed on my house, which is 2 acres connected to Sugar's 5.5 acres.
Jeez.
So we got this little compound that we're turning into a farm. We got an extra training center there, and it's pretty cool. So everything's been going good.
I believe it's the barn dominium. Is that what you guys are calling it?
He's building his barn dominium right now, a big old huge 8,000 square feet barn dominium with a recovery center in it, and it's pretty epic. But he also has another barn dough with the cage and his whole workout area going up.
Isn't that a lot of Suga in your life? Like, don't you guys need some separation if you guys are living right next to each other?
Yeah, I'll lock my doors when needed. Lock my doors, close the curtains when needed, and he knows to not come in at that time.
Okay, so
but look at Zafar.
Yeah,
look at
let's
Zafar
see.
here.
Let's go.
He's an absolute freak show.
I mean,
look at him.
You know who he kind of is built like? He looks like Armin Sarukian.
Yes. And he's on a 3-fight win streak here. 3-fight win streak. Southpaw. And I'm interested because Hussein's going to be looking to take this guy down. But in some of Hussein's previous fights, he submitted some good black belts. He submitted this good Gracie Barra black belt who's Akshan Babayev. He's going to be clearly looking for the takedown. But in some of his past fights, he shot from like 3 feet away. And I don't know if those takedowns are going to be enough to take down Zafar. But again, the kid's only 25 years old, and he's been fighting high-level guys since he's 21, 22 years old. So I'm sure he's improved a lot in these last 3 years.
Are you a betting man, Tim?
Yes.
Like, do you look at do you know right now the line for this fight?
Yes, and I believe Hussein is a big, Zafar is a big underdog.
Correct. Currently right now, I believe it's minus 1,200 for Hussein, Zafar plus 700.
I tell you what, this is going to be a more competitive fight than those odds.
You think so?
Though.
Why do you think so?
I do.
Why do you think so?
I do, because Zafar is very good. He has a background in judo. He's not easy to take down. He's very sharp on his feet. And you'd think with all those muscles and all that explosiveness that he's going to fatigue, but he's got good cardio. I was watching some of his fights in the past. He's got good cardio. He's pretty, his IQ is pretty up there. So I'm excited to see this one here.
Okay. Wow. So you're telling us that the odds makers have it wrong. Here we go, Tim. This is fun. Thank you for joining us, by the way.
Hell yeah! Has it been going smooth?
Oh my God, everything's great. You could see the fight, right?
Yep. He's got that. I mean, he's got that up tall style. I'm curious. Zafar's got to be careful with those kicks because a lot of Hussein's fights in the past, he catches those kicks and double legs them. So I bet we'll see that here in a second. And when Hussein does shoot on southpaws, he shoots head outside, high crotches. So you can tell he's already changing levels, looking for it.
You like that, or don't? Are you saying that he's telegraphing?
No, I don't think he's telegraphing, but in his previous fights, it's pretty clear what side he's going to shoot or how he gets the takedown.
Yeah, Hussein's background is in wrestling. He moved from Chechnya to Switzerland and just went into some kind of martial arts class and started to do ground and pound. And they're like, yo, this is a kickboxing school. So then he had to go find an MMA school, and now here he is on his journey as an MMA fighter.
So is Chechnya and Switzerland pretty close?
One's in Russia. Chechnya's in Russia, and Swiss. I don't know why he went to Switzerland because he actually wanted to be an Olympic wrestler.
Oh, dang!
Yeah, and then he found out that he liked to hit people. But you know who's from Chechnya, right?
I mean, the big scary Hamzat.
Yes, he returns to action next week. Ooh, what are you seeing so far?
I mean, similar to what all their fights look like a little bit. There it is, head outside, high crotch, and sits him down right away. Got to pull his right arm back to the double leg to get this finish. Boom. Now he's on top.
Yeah, you knew that was coming. His wrestling is clearly, Zafar is a very compact young man compared to Hussein, who's a lot lankier, stringier, has the sort of Zabit body type.
And Zafar is just chiseled up. Reminds me of my garage with good lighting.
How's the Achilles, by the way? Are you fully healed from that?
100%. The Achilles strong.
You could do anything. You can roll. You can run. You could jump. No problems.
Yep. It's 100%.
Any basketball? Have you picked that up again?
Yeah, I've been shooting a little bit of hoops, not competitively trying to break the guys, but just still shooting some hoops here.
Playing like American or 21 or knockout, perhaps.
Yeah, maybe horse or pig.
Right. So he's going back for that takedown, huh? That single leg.
It was probably smart of him in this first round to try to get in some spots where he can put all his weight on the guy and zap his energy a little bit, especially a big, explosive, chiseled up guy like that. Take some of the heat out of his arms.
Yes, Larissa Pacheco. Have you ever done commentary like Cage? Ooh, look at that. That was nice.
It's a judo background.
Yeah.
Single leg drives him in the fence here. Nope, this is my first time doing any commentary.
Yeah. Don't forget us when you become big time.
Yeah, right. I saw Eric Nixick there sitting there with Cristiano Ronaldo.
How about that?
And Francis, and that hair is looking just good. It looks fresh. It looks like a teenager.
Would you ever do it?
Oh, I have such a big 5 head, so if I did start the bald, which I'm not, thankfully, if I did start the bald, I'd probably do it. Another judo through from Zafar. Loves that Uchimata there.
Did you know that my uncle competed in the 1976 Olympics in judo representing Lebanon?
Really?
Yes, David Sad. How about this little factoid? The last Jew to compete for Lebanon in the Olympic Games, 1976.
Damn.
How about that?
Have you ever thrown on the kimono?
Sure. I just throw it on. I don't actually do anything in it, but I've tried one or two. I'm actually surprised there aren't more judokas who have transitioned to MMA and been successful.
Yeah.
I feel like it's an incredible base, right? Because the takedowns, the striking, and the submissions.
So, I think Hussein, he's looking like he's a little bit puckered out. And in fights in the past, he's gotten TKO'd in the past from gassing out, really spending a lot of his energy wrestling, trying to grapple the guy. And he's got TKO'd in the past. And now Zafar's back on him. Like I said, Zafar looks jacked, and you usually see these guys gas out, but look at him. He's still really fast and explosive and dangerous, putting it on him a little bit.
Hussein looks tired, right?
Yes.
And for those who forgot, Hussein was the minus 1,200 favorite.
Yep.
That being said, who do you give the first round to?
What are we at for time here? First round, probably Hussein's. It's, like I said, it just always depends on what these judges are looking at. But Hussein got the 2 takedowns there, and they'll probably give it to him.
It's so crazy that we have Amir Khan and Canelo on our feed right now. Isn't this crazy? 2 boxing legends.
Yep.
Has anyone ever actually walked up to you and asked you for a picture or autograph and thought you were Canelo?
Probably, honest to God, 3 to 4 times a week.
Oh, no way. Serious?
Dead serious. What do you think? I'm in Phoenix. Think how close I am to Mexico?
That's true.
If a week goes by and someone says I don't look like Canelo, then that's rare.
Do you ever go with it just to mess with them?
Oh, yeah. Sometimes I'll put a fist up. Sometimes. I will.
How's your Spanish?
Not very good.
Okay.
Not very good.
So you could just...
Hussein's huffing and puffing here. He's looking a bit defeated. I think he thought he was going to be able to keep Zafar down, and Zafar popped up right away.
The body language very different between the two of them.
Yeah.
Didn't look like Hussein even sat down. How do you feel about that, guys who don't sit down in between rounds?
Some guys are just absolute freak shows. They got Tardio. Merab's one of them. He's got this crazy Tardio that just can go on all day, doesn't need to sit down. Okay, here we go. Round 2.
Here we go. All right, so what does Hussein have to do to get back on track?
If he can set up punch and set up a good double leg and get on top past the half guard, that's going to be his best chance here.
What's Zafar doing right?
But Zafar's just countering his wrestling good, keeping at his range. And when he's getting into those shots, he's doing a good job at having good reactions. Whizzer stuff in the head, jacking him up, over-unders, and he's still pressuring him back. It's hard for a wrestler to shoot when they're moving backwards.
The kicks are impressive from Zafar. Head kicks, spinning kicks. He's throwing that spinning shit.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
Have you been to Riyadh?
I haven't been there. I was going to ask, have you been there?
Yeah, I was there once. I was there for the Francis AJ fight.
Did they treat you like a king?
You know what? They kind of did. It was actually quite nice. Everything was so nice, clean, and everyone was so welcoming and polite and gracious. My only complaint was that the fight happened in the middle of the main event happened at like 3:30 in the morning to accommodate American viewers. This time it's not so bad. Like right now, it's for those at home. It's midnight locally. What are you seeing here? What are you seeing?
Ooh, cracked him with the left hand. Barely missed that double knee. Hussein goes back to that high crotch. Now he's in a crucifix position. Dangerous position. He's gonna have to suck that in, go to a double leg, and start elevating it. That definitely hurt him, though. That left hand definitely hurt him. He's a pretty Gumby kid.
Yes,
And Zafar.
That was the description I was looking for.
Yeah. Zafar just looks like he just has that dad strength right now. I wonder if he's got kids. Yeah, same thing in Abu Dhabi. It was just, man, it was so cool. Was this the Rihada place? Was it similar to Abu Dhabi where they just have cameras on every single street corner and everything's being watched?
A lot less developed. It's like Abu Dhabi 10, 15 years ago.
Dang.
But they're going to get there. Like they're trying to get the World Cup in 2030, I believe, if my math is correct. They're going to get there rather quickly with everything that they're pouring in.
Yeah, Hussein looks tired. His posture against the wall here is not good. You want to get your butt under you, your head up, and your back strong. In this position, he's just kind of looking to just get a breather, I think.
Okay, so what do you do here? This has been a big topic after the Aldo fight, right? Stalling, clinch, up against the cage, not really doing much. When should the ref step in?
I mean, once the ref sees that this person's clearly not trying to do a damage, he's clearly not trying to advance, I think he should step in. Joe Rogan seems to disagree. He thinks someone should be able to sit on top and guard or sit on the fence all day. But if the fight turns into that, if refs start doing that, you're going to see Russians come in, again with the Uchimata, and now he scores it this time. You're going to see some big Russians come in, and they're going to pin guys for 15 minutes, and they're going to sit on top in a position and just literally pin them for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Some refs are good about it, and they can tell the difference between strikes that are actually trying to damage them or strikes just doing enough just to stay in the position, trying to get through the fight. I mean, they're all good, especially at the UFC level. Jason, Herb Dean, all those guys are just such good refs, in my opinion.
Some people think Herb has slowed down a bit.
Yeah, Zafar's on top in full guard, putting a pounding on him right now.
Look at Zafar. We need some.
And moving on to half guard. Now, and this is the best position to be on top in MMA, I believe. Hussein needs his left leg right now to get up. He needs it, and Zafar's just sitting on it. Better than being on top, side control. Has a far underhook, and this is a good position for Zafar to just sit his weight on top.
I mean, he got this round. There's no doubt about it, at least as of right now. Zafar, that is.
And Hussein's definitely puckering out a bit.
Surprised that he got tired so quickly.
A big event, first real big show he's been in. He has fought some big names. I mean, not big names, but good guys before. But this is a big event for him.
Both guys making their PFL debut. So, yes, you are right. Big event.
Zafar's going to go for that Uchimata again if Hussein steps his hips back.
Let's see it.
Yep.
Throw him,
He's already looking for it.
Come on, baby. 5 seconds left. Toss him like Ronda against Alexis Davis. Remember that one? Bang.
I do. I wish Mike Beltran would let that beard fly a little more instead of tucking her in.
It's a weird thing. He does it for UFC. He doesn't usually do it for PFL Bellator. He's now been tucking it in. I think some commissioners say it's distracting. I disagree, right?
Yeah, I think it's cool.
I love it. You know that thing? He's been growing it for over a decade.
Holy smokes.
Could you imagine what it's like showering with that? Could you imagine when it's all wet?
Yeah, at least it's not dreads. Some of those dreads, you go with people with dreads and they just start to stink. They really do.
What do you do when you're rolling with someone and they smell real bad?
Well, if it's in my academy, I'll tell them. I'll tell them, hey, people don't want to roll with stinky stuff. Just like, hey, clean that up. They have no problem doing that.
Have you ever rolled with someone in a competition, competed, and like maybe thought, maybe I shouldn't brush my teeth this morning or take a shower so that I smell and they are uncomfortable?
I've never done it. My buddy Lloyd Woodard, he had a fight with Michael Chandler back in the day. Bellator gave Michael Chandler a very tough fight. He was on a good run, but he wouldn't brush his teeth for a week. He would eat garlic and he wouldn't shower for a week. So he'd have very, very heavy BO. He'd eat garlic and just be absolutely foul.
Come
smelling.
on. For a week, he wouldn't brush his teeth? That
1
seems
week.
extreme.
Okay, round 3 here. We're 1-1.
Here we go. What do we need to see from Zafar here to pull off the upset early on?
I would just be patient these first couple minutes. Do enough to win the round, and then maybe you can pick it up towards the end here. But make sure you don't overcommit on a punch and end up getting taken down and end up on bottom.
Zafar Mohsen, biggest fight of his career. Tim Welch, first ever commentary, killing it, coming with the stats.
Oh, shit.
Look at that.
Both pretty seasoned guys. Both these guys have been around for a bit.
But you were the one that said the lines are off.
Yeah. There's a good shot.
Did you put a $5 on this? I mean, you make a pretty penny.
No, I didn't even think about it. I try to forget about betting on fights since the whole UFC thing. And
Oh, that's right. Sorry. I don't want that to happen to you. Sorry.
yeah.
But this is Helwani.
Yeah,
By the way, at Helwani,
Here we go.
you're allowed to bet on anything you want, just for the record.
Okay, sweet.
For next time. Look at that. 25 of 39 arm strikes for Zafar. Hussein, 4 of 7.
Back into a shot is a big moment here. You got to get that leg back outside, spread his legs, and start jacking him up or stuff the head.
Leg strikes, 26 of 34. Zafar, 4 of 7 for Hussein. I mean, it might not be that close even.
I wonder soon we're going to be...
Oh.
Good lift. A lot of energy there that didn't do anything. I'm curious to see what's going to happen once these 12-6 elbows start coming into play here.
How do you feel about that?
I think it's great. I think it's awesome. It's to make it harder for people to stall in positions like this, and I think it's good.
Also,
good job here by Zafar. Head inside, forcing the head inside on the single leg. More trap on the far arm. This is more exhausting than for Hussein than it is Zafar.
If you were advising Hussein, would you tell him to try to get out of this position? Nothing going on. He looks exhausted.
Yeah, he is. He's puckered. He's trying to stick with on the single leg or the high crotch instead of locking his hands below the butt. When you're shooting on someone against the fence, that should be your main thing. I mean, first go. Try to lock your hands below the butt. But Zafar is doing a good job keeping his wrist control here.
You mentioned the 12-6. They're also changing what constitute as a downed opponent. Do you like that? That you can't play that game anymore?
Yeah, I'm pumped about that too. Especially, I mean, someone like Aljo, he likes to shoot that front headlock. He knows he's not going to score, but he knows he's safe to just hang out there in that front headlock. I do wish there was knees to the head of a down opponent though.
Oh, you want that?
Yeah.
Why?
Just like I said, it makes the wrestler can't sit there and stall in that front headlock position.
Got it. What about soccer kicks?
I think they'd be good too. I think the partner on the back, I think they should be able to up kick the face, especially if the partner's on the knee.
Okay, you want everything. You want pride rules.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much.
All right, 90 seconds to go. I mean, this feels like Hussein needs to go for broke, right?
Yeah, I think Zafar's winning.
Ooh, cracked him there, right?
Mm-hmm. Southpaw.
Who do you favor in a
reaction.
southpaw matchup? Do you favor the southpaw?
You definitely favor the southpaw in that matchup. Little reshot there for Hussein. He just doesn't got the juice. Doesn't have the juice for it. And Zafar's got good, strong, heavy hips. Little throw by here. Staying on the leg.
Wow, look
Ends
at
up
that.
pulling
Ground
half
strikes,
guard.
22 of 23 for Zafar, 1 of 1 for Hussein. This is a master class. From the Afghan-born, now fighting out of Germany, Zafar Mohsen, looking to get his 4th win in a row. Has only gone the distance once before as far as a victory is concerned. 7 KOs, 5 subs. He appears to be 25 seconds away from the biggest win of his career, though.
Yep, good for him. Nice. just relentless on the takedown defense, and that was the difference in the fight.
And even on the ground here, just active, not settling, inflicting
Definitely
damage.
Looks like he knows what he's doing on the ground, for sure.
You like this young man?
Yeah, I mean, strong, explosive, good cardio. Good fight. Big fight.
His team. When, have you been in a situation like this where you guys knew that you were massive underdogs and you pulled it off?
Yeah, a few times.
What comes to mind? Tell us a good story here.
There's this one story. It's pretty crazy. It was this little skinny kid with tattoos.
Yes, I've heard of him.
Fighting this jacked, athletic, black wrestler, black belt level in jiu-jitsu. And the little skinny kid just stroked him with the right hand and face planted him. It was electric. Happened in Boston.
Oh, yeah. Well, how big of a dog was he in that fight? Was he even a dog by the time the fight came around?
He was definitely still a big underdog when the fight came around.
How soon is he fighting for a belt again, in your opinion?
Probably. I mean, if this Umar Song fight is real, I just saw a video saying it's not officially signed yet.
Yes.
It could happen in January, but it looks like December or January, Umar's fighting Song. So if that is the case, then it's probably going to be. I wouldn't be surprised if we fight for the title next.
Do you have any insight into that? Like, why is Umar fighting Song and not Merab?
I mean, obviously Umar wants to get a fight, get a fat little check before Ramadan because he knows that's going to be a good break. And I know Merab was calling out Sean for November 16th, saying he's ready to go November 16th. But once he found out Sean couldn't fight, then all of a sudden he doesn't want to fight. So he wants to take a break.
Interesting.
And yeah.
By the way, the labrum, how big of an issue was that?
I mean, we haven't been able to do a real grappling practice, a real wrestling practice. We have competition training Mondays and Fridays where some of the best guys in the valley come together, black belts, Division I wrestlers, and we go six rounds, sometimes 6-minute rounds. We do long, grueling practices, and we haven't been able to do those for probably at least 2 years. We haven't been able to do that type of practice, and so we've just been having to work with what we could. But we had those same type of injuries going against Cheeto. We had even worse injuries going against Aljo, and we had success. So it was hard to just not try to have that success against Merab too. But I'm happy that we're just getting the surgery out of the way, and then we can get a whole new sugar going.
How's the recovery going from what you're seeing? Or is he not really
going
doing
good
much now?
It's going good. He's getting a hyperbaric chamber for his house. Those things are crazy expensive. And then he's getting red light, and then he has the sauna, the cold plunge, the PEMF machine, all this medical grade equipment that would probably cost $200,000, but we have it at the house, so he's going to recover really fast and strong.
Is it annoying when something like that happens, a hard-fought win, and everyone's like, you guys, you're phonies. Like, everyone starts piling it on. Do you read that stuff? Do you take it to heart?
After losing?
Sorry, after a loss, excuse me.
No. It's never no one saying it from that's like above you or any level of success. It's always people that are jealous and they hate to see confident people. It's usually people like that. So I don't really take it to heart at all.
Do you agree with Sugar, by the way? He told me this week he thought he won 3 rounds to 2.
Yeah, I mean, if you go watch that fight with no commentary at all, and look who's landing punches, look who's doing the damage, you could see how he'd say that. You definitely could. And some judges, if it was certain judges that watched that fight, they probably would have called it that way also.
Mm-hmm. Close one. Perhaps we'll see it sooner rather than later. I don't think anyone thought we would, but here we are. Okay, what do you think? You think Zafar gets it?
All three have it.
Yep.
Exactly
All three.
the same. 30
Yep.
to 27.
30-27.
For the winner by unanimous decision, Zafar Mohsen.
Wow.
Yeah, good for him. Good for him. Heck
Look at
yeah.
you, Tim. You came on here and said this is going to be a lot closer. The massive dog wins.
Yeah. Yep.
I like this guy. I hope that they keep him around. This was his PFL debut. That was a huge, huge victory for the young man fighting out of Germany, and a huge debut as far as his commentary career is concerned by the Red Hawk himself, Tim Welch. Tim, this was a lot of fun. What time?
Yeah, dude.
What time should we link up for Ice Cube tonight? What time should I be at the Barn Dominium?
Come over whenever. Throw all your chains on, all the chains that you got. Throw on your chains, and then we'll see you there. We'll get down.
You're the man. Thanks for doing this, Tim. Really appreciate it.
No problem, Ariel. You're the man. See you later.
Yeah, there it is. There's the music. Did we have the music on the way in, Frank?
No, I'm sorry. It was a really quick transition there.
All right. Well, that was good fun. I mean, I love that from. What about Tim Welch there, calling it before the fight? So 2 in the books. Massive win by Paul Hughes. By the way, a bit of a theme here. Slight underdog, Paul Hughes. Massive underdog, the one and only Zafar Mohsen. So is that a sign of things to come as far as the main event is concerned? Chris Cyborg an underdog, by the way. In this next fight, Johnny Eblen against Fabian Edwards. In case you're wondering, the underdog is one Fabian Edwards, the brother of the now former UFC welterweight champion Leon Rocky Edwards. They fought a little over a year ago, and now they'll do it again. And you know, when I was thinking about this one, I said, oh, the perfect guy for this one is a fellow wrestler, the smartest wrestler I know, my old friend Chael P., who back in the day at ESPN, I pitched this exact concept to. I pitched it to them, Chael, and now here we are. Ariel and the Bad Guy live on PPV, $50, no free entry. Welcome.
Friend, did you just call Tim Welch the Red Hot?
The Red Hawk. Red Hawk.
Oh, the Red Hawk.
Yes.
I like Hawk. Hot is a little funnier, I've got to tell you. I thought you'd call him the Red Hot, and I was going to pay you your due. Here he comes right now. Boy, they're not messing around with this broadcast. They go from one to the next. I love that spacing. Here's Fabian Edwards.
Okay. Well, you know what? I spoke to George Greenberg, head man over at PFL, and I said we need to speed it up. Let's get right to it. Give the people what they want, right? Isn't it better that way?
Oh, I'm way into it. I'm actually really impressed that they did that. They got that one out. And by the way, can we go back in time? What happened with AJ McKee tonight? I mean, where did Hughes come from? That was very impressive. It's surprising, by the way.
So you didn't expect that?
No.
What do you do wrong?
No, AJ McKee's as good of a fighter. AJ McKee's as good of a fighter as you're going to come across. I mean, I watched him stretch out Darian Caldwell, who's a national champion wrestler. I watched him beat strikers. I was in Riyadh for Bellator versus PFL. And, he goes out against Collard, who's just a scary, scary guy on his feet. Come on, man. It was a round fight. McKee's awesome. Sometimes when you get on a roll, it can work against you. If fights aren't as hard as maybe they should be, you expect the next fight to not be as hard as it can turn out to be. Things can fall apart, and Hughes showed up to play tonight.
Hughes is good, man. He signed a massive deal with PFL, got his first one out of the way in June in Dublin for Bellator. Now 2-0, and then he goes into the season. He's going to be one of the biggest names. So the gamble has paid off. Tell us about Johnny Eblen, Chael. You're high on Johnny Eblen. Mizzou wrestler, of course, we know about. Tyron Woodley, he joined us. Mizzou. Michael Chandler, Mizzou. I mean, a long line of great guys who have come out of there. I do believe someone named Ben Askren as well. What do you know about Johnny Eblen?
There was a year called 2022.
I've heard of it.
And at that time, the king of our industry at the weight class was Israel Adesanya. And Mike Kogan, who is as reputable and as knowledgeable as this industry has, said Johnny Eblen can beat him. And Kogan said, I'll do whatever I can to make the fight, but I will put Johnny in there with anybody. He said, nobody can beat Johnny. And by the way, Johnny's undefeated. Johnny fought 5 rounds against Gegard Mousasi. He won all 5 rounds. I mean, Johnny really is this talented. I did not know on a personal level how good he is. I got invited to a private workout. I attended his private workout. He is better than I knew he was, and he was the world champion who was undefeated and had a win over Gegard when I wanted to see him. Point being, I knew he was good. I did not know he's as good as it turns out he is. Ariel, his Muay Thai is nasty. You bring up that Missouri wrestling, and I'm glad you did, because anyone that's watched him fight, he doesn't use it. This guy is a Muay Thai. He will bring those elbows. He will bring those knees. It's not just kickboxing. He will clinch you. It's incredible. And then he's got the pace, right? He's got that ability to push the pace. I'm telling you right now, Edwards can upset him right now, but he's going to have to do it in the first round.
Huh.
Johnny's going to put a pace on him. Edwards is going to be different in round 2. He's going to be much different in round 3. He's going to be falling apart by round 4. That's not because he did anything wrong. Johnny just has one of those weapons like St. Pierre used to have where he can put a pressure on you that's hard to deal with. That's my prediction.
Okay, I love this. You know what's interesting? 2 fights ago, I felt like there was a thing that Johnny Eblen might be the best middleweight in the world, that he could beat the UFC's middleweight. Then he fights Fabian Edwards, if you recall, gets cut open. It looks very troublesome for him. He turns it around. He gets the win. 3rd round. Then he fights Impa Kasanganay. You were there, and it wasn't his best showing, right? And Impa's on a roll these days, but he's coming down from 205 to 185. I feel like Johnny needs to remind people who he is and get an emphatic win here. A decision win isn't enough for this narrative that he is just as good as whomever the UFC champion is to continue.
That's a very accurate timeline and analysis. I just want to tell you, as an athlete, I gained respect for him in his fight with Impa because he did start to fatigue, because there was a time in there where that tide was turning and Johnny, for the first time in his career, was given an opportunity to relinquish, and he said no. And he hung in there and he dug deep for about 10 minutes, and his cardio was shot. He had what we call an adrenaline dump. It's very hard to push through, but I watched him and he did. And even his fight with Edwards, where he suffered that cut, he dealt with adversity. Some of these guys get really good, Ariel, but they know aggression. They don't know fighting. Aggression is where the punches are going one way. Fighting is when they start coming back at you. I actually gained faith and confidence in Johnny in those 2 struggles that he had.
Fabian said afterwards, one mistake. I made one mistake. He capitalized. He stopped me. Is that a fair assessment of what happened in the 3rd round?
Yeah. You got to understand. I mean, think about how much different life is. If you're one of the baddest dudes in the world, which Fabian is, you're the top-ranked guy in the world, which Fabian is, there was never a day when you were the baddest dude in your own house. Think about that. He can beat everybody on the globe. He can't beat the dude up across the hall. Like, life is different when you grow up the way the Edwards boys did.
And, of course, this is the first fight for the Edwards boys since Leon lost to Bilal back in July. Is that a thing, by the way? Like, do you feel like he's fighting with, or is that just something us media guys talk about? Like, oh, he's trying to get the family back on track.
No, that's real. That's real. You feel those pressures, and no matter how slight, but it's a game of inches, you know. And one reason guys like you and I, we tell the audience about pressure, we tell them like these emotional approaches that we're discussing, but we don't take the time to say why it matters. It matters because that creates a fatigue. When you have these extra things on your shoulder, you have more pressure than the other guy. It's one of those things. It just creates an exhaustion faster, and this is massively a sport of I quit. It's designed as punches and kicks with takedowns and chokes, but it's the I quit business. I'm going to make you quit or you're going to make me quit. You got 25 minutes to do it.
Eblen the champ, favorite. This is for the better.
You can't get an analysis.
No, this is
you
good.
cannot get an analysis like I bring. It really is stunning to me. Sometimes I hear myself and I just think, does Ariel ever thank God in heaven above that he has access to my dimension?
It's amazing. That's why I wanted you for this fight, by the way, and not the main event, because I think the main event doesn't last long. What are we seeing here, Chael?
Hey,
what are we seeing? You're perking up.
Well, Fabian landed that uppercut. Eblen walked through it, but he's going to have a different respect. He's already holding his head in a different posture. Fabian landed one uppercut. They moved around a little bit. He threw another one that missed, but he's got his attention now. Johnny's fighting a little bit different. See, small things there, right? You got this tree. It's just these little chops. A little thing changes here and there. All of a sudden, man, those add up. The only way a goldfish can eat a shark is a whole bunch of little bites.
Wow. Can I tell you something? I always feel like the champ who has to beat the guy twice is in the worst spot, right? Because the guy who lost can say, let me just, right? Do you agree? I think
yes. Completely.
Well, as I say that.
Yeah, he connected there, but I think there was a little bit of a footing issue, too. I think there's a little stumble. Hey, you made a comment. Chris Cyborg is an underdog. Did you misspeak?
No.
Is that true?
That's true. How crazy is that?
DraftKings has her as an underdog.
Yes, everyone has her as an underdog.
Wow.
You're shocked?
Do you agree with that?
I mean, she hasn't fought MMA that often. She's currently a plus 120, so it's slight. But when's the last time you remember Chris Cyborg being an underdog?
Never. She was not a dog against Amanda Nunes, just to remind you.
Yeah. Okay, I've asked our...
Chris Cyborg's nice, by the way. Have you ever met Chris Cyborg?
Oh, she's salt of the earth.
Secretly, like you
she's
would
a sweetheart.
not think that, and then she turns out to be she's so nice. Everybody loves her that meets her.
First time I ever met her,
is scared of her.
I was terrified of her. First time I met her.
Yeah, I was too. She came up behind me and put me in a choke. I didn't know if she was going to squeeze it or if we were just doing a photo.
What did she do? Squeeze her?
Turned out to just be a photo.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Good.
That's when Brazil didn't like really understand the Chael show.
Sure.
No, she was cool.
What about Woodley saying?
I must tell you right off the bat here,
Sure.
and I'm going to go back to that uppercut that slipped in, but this is not the output of Johnny Eblen. In fact, if we were to look at the numbers, I would heavily bet you right now, if we went back and looked at every first 3 minutes of a first round he's ever had, this is the least amount of strikes he's thrown. He's a little nervous to step into range there. Big takedown. That's that Missouri wrestling. I'm so glad that you alluded to that. Who was there? Michael Chandler, Ben Askren, these guys. They're all in the same room, all under Coach Smith. But he doesn't use that wrestling a lot. He needs it right now.
So, like in a
He's
case
hanging
like
on right
that,
here, Aaron. This is the bluff. This position is a bluff. A great way to deal with a wrestler, whether you've been taken down or you're on your feet and you're about to get taken down, just get to the fence. If you can get to that fence, it's very difficult for a wrestler because everything a wrestler knows is to drive you forward. The rules of wrestling require that you go forward. When a fence is there, it stops everything you've ever learned.
in a case like this, Chael, where he's taking him down, well, right before this, and there's no damage, Fabian's getting back up. Who are you kind of scoring that exchange for?
Johnny. And you'll have a number of judges, by the way, that will come out and tell you, well, no, they have to do something with it. I don't know why they tell people that. That's not true. It's not the way they look at it themselves. 100% of the time, the guy in the top position will gain favor of the judges. I don't know why they say you have to do something with it. Andy Foster is different out of California. Andy will tell you that that's a blow. If you take a guy down, that is now the mat hitting the guy. He will tell you it's a blow, and I love that assessment. People don't think of it that way, but Andy's right. Director Foster. I should not address him as Andy.
Best in the
Director
business.
Foster.
The gold standard.
Oh, forget it.
The gold
Forget
standard.
It. The best.
I mean, he leads the charge.
Forget it.
He's always trying to evolve. He's the one who's leading the charge with the 12-6. He's the one who's leading the charge with the downed opponent. He is not resting on his laurels. I always go to him, by the way, when I have a question about commission stuff, I always go to him. Who'd you score that first round for?
Oh, that was Johnny. That was Johnny very clearly. Yeah. But you got to understand, that was a win for Fabian, and let me tell you why.
Tell me.
The number one thing that Fabian needs to do, and it's the number one thing, conserve that energy. Right, there's a game being played. You got a 10-9. You keep it close, but you make him work. Gives you a shot here or there. You make him work. Fabian stuck to the game plan, and I guarantee you that Leon, who is a master himself, right? I'm talking about Fabian's brother. He's a master of that conditioning, but Leon doesn't do as much as he gets credit for. He makes the other guy drain his battery. Like, people will look at Leon and go, oh my God, he's in such great shape. He is, but he's very tactical with it.
So you saw Leon there, Dave Lavelle there as well, the boys from Renegade. What do you think they told Fabian in between 1 and 2?
I think they told him, good job. I think they told him, breathe. I think they're telling him to calm down. It is very important. The biggest fear that a combat athlete has, jiu-jitsu, judo, wrestling, boxing, MMA, the biggest fear they have is not failure. Their biggest fear is exhaustion. That they will reach a point where they cannot follow the golden rule, which is to protect yourself at all times. So it's very important. If you want confidence, you talk about a guy who might confident, all he's talking to is his level of conditioning. When a guy says, yeah, I'm ready, I'm confident, it's the greatest camp ever, all that means is he believes he can outpush the other guy.
Orthodox Southpaw, we're seeing it here, Chael. Who do you favor in that when it's Orthodox Southpaw? Is there a blanket answer for this, or is that not fair?
Fabian is faster. Generally, it favors the Southpaw. It shouldn't. I'm a Southpaw. Ariel, I'm not trying to be funny. I fought 51 men, not counting amateurs. I don't know if any of them were Southpaw. I don't know if all of them were Southpaw. I don't even know what it means. I don't know why people talk about it. It's what leg does a guy lead? Who gives a damn what leg lead? I don't know, but there's a reason. Other people would disagree with me. I've been brought into camps before. Dan Henderson flew me out and put me up to train with him for Vitor because Vitor was Southpaw. I don't know what the difference is. I lead this leg instead of this leg. I don't get it, but other people do.
Okay, can I throw this theory out to you? I believe that wrestlers are the best switch hitters in fighting. And what I mean by switch hitting is they switch stances because correct me if I'm wrong, as a wrestler, if you are a righty, your right foot is forward. You shoot with your right foot forward. If you are a lefty, your left foot is forward. However, if you're a boxer and you're a righty, your left foot is forward. And so you are most comfortable with the right foot forward and the left foot forward. Is that why the Dominic Cruzes of the world, the TJ Dillashaw's of the world, are so much more comfortable switching stances as opposed to the strikers in MMA?
Yes, Cody Garbrandt as well, to throw names out here, but yes, Cody probably does it better than anybody I've seen, but yes, you're exactly right. And it's very confusing. My son has his visions that he's going to get into it, and I've told him, man, when you get there on day one with boxing, you got to lie. The coach is going to ask you on day one, are you left-handed or right-handed? You must say you're left-handed. You're going to spend the majority of his life wrestling. So you got to be able to just stand up. We used to have wrestlers, Kenny Monday, Kevin Jackson, they came over to the sport, they had a very hard time. But one of the reasons is they would literally switch their feet and everybody, okay, he's boxing, okay, now he's back to wrestling. It was one of those things, right, as the sport was evolving, that was one of the things that we learned. We need to hide that a little bit better or just avoid it. Learn to fight southpaw.
By the way, you didn't know you'd get that analysis from me. I mean, come on. Right, left? That's big-time stuff.
That was excellent. That was very, and you're completely spot on, which is why I use the example of my son. It is the first thing that a boxing coach will ask you when you get, first thing, when he says, hey, you'll exchange names, and then he will say, young man, are you southpaw? Are you right-handed or are you left-handed? Tells you where you put your feet. Everything comes off of your feet. So the same thing goes with wrestling. You get in that stance, you spend your whole career in it. So it's a really big deal. You don't want to have to switch them if you choose to go over to MMA, to your point.
How old is your son now?
Look at Evelyn here, though. And this is where, when we talk about that Evelyn might be the best, it's because of this. And I don't want to get into whether this is the most pleasing and crowd-friendly to watch. I want to get into the fact that this is a dynamic. To get a guy down is an entire sport. It is so much work to get a guy down. To keep a guy there is now a different sport. And that is where American wrestling, which is only done in our college system, only here. They don't do it in Russia. They don't do it in China. They only do it here. It's where Bo Nickel has an advantage. It's where Johnny Evelyn has an advantage. And this is a gear that you don't usually look to. Like, you don't fantasize about beating a guy by taking him down and holding him there. But sometimes you get a guy as explosive as Edwards, you got to do it. You got to start draining that battery. You got to get your paws on him. You got to close that distance. It's a massive skill that Johnny has. He doesn't show it very often, but he needs it tonight.
Do you think he changed his game plan after feeling Edwards' power early on?
Yes, I really do. I got to go back to that uppercut.
Yeah.
But I really think that was it. He connected with that, and Johnny stood his ground. He tried not to hide it, but he got a lot of respect there. He respected the speed, he respected the distance, he respected the power, all with that one shot. Uppercut's a big problem. If you're a guy and you're a wrestler, it's a big problem. Every time you come down, you're setting yourself up. I mean, if a guy can just throw an uppercut, even if he misses, if a guy can raise a knee up the middle, Sean O'Malley gets guys to not even try to take him down just because he throws an up kick a couple of times and shows them that something's waiting for him. It's very effective. Ariel, I got in a wreck one time. Did you know I got rear-ended by a gravel truck? Did I tell you about that?
What?
I got rear-ended. It was like 10 years ago. I got rear-ended by a gravel truck, and it was fully loaded. And my back hurts, so I can never get comfortable. So I'm
really?
I'm trying to get I need a chair that I can get right, but I don't want to look too laid back.
No,
so
I like it.
When
you go forward, it makes me feel like something big is happening, like you're perking up. When it is, 10 years ago is 2014. This is the midst of your career.
Yeah, Ariel, and it would have even been before that, and I'll tell you exactly why I know that. I got rear-ended on a Wednesday, got on a plane, flew to Lemoore, California, and fought Alex Stiebling on Saturday. Wow. So the insurance company, they said, to hell with this guy. Man, I was getting all these different treatments and things. They said, no way. You can't be sincere if you had a cage fight after that. And my own lawyer was like, yeah, I really can't argue around it. Here you go. Here's $500.
Look at that. Slip and rip, huh?
Yeah, that was a good slip and rip. Look at Johnny's eyes, too. Johnny's got good eyes. He can keep them open. He can stay in there. Matt Mitrione was a master of that. Never really got credit. You could throw heat at Mitrione, and he'd pull back, and he'd miss by a quarter inch. He'd pull back. He'd move a quarter inch. It's called having good eyes. Johnny's got good eyes.
I thought you meant he just had, like, nice eyes, like the color.
Yeah, sure. No, he's a very beautiful man on top of that.
Sure.
I got to tell you, I mean, we're 2-0. And I'm not going to be able to give Edwards an excuse after this because the math will just simply be against him. Edwards is very alive in this fight. I feel that he's achieved what he wanted to achieve. which is to survive and have enough energy to go for 15 minutes. I feel like this fight's about to start right now. You're gonna see it. You're gonna see a different Edwards. One thing that Edwards has made a mistake of in this fight is he's going backwards, but that also tells me he's trying to conserve energy. I predict for you, starting now, we're gonna see a lot more forward motion from Edwards.
Okay. Do you think? Here's the thing. Okay, so I think he doesn't necessarily respect Johnny's striking, but he has to respect the takedown. As long as he stays in the middle of the cage, I don't think that Johnny has been able to do anything that would make him stop going forward. He just needs to take it to him.
I agree with that. Khabib was a great one to watch because it was so obvious what he was going to do. 100% of the time. Not only was he going to take you down with the leg entanglement after he locked up your body, but he was going to push you into the fence first. Khabib could not take people down in the center. And you might find an exception, one round with Conor McGregor. You might remember the Al Iaquinta fight. The best thing that Al did in that fight to keep that so competitive, he just kept his back off the fence. And I'm bringing that to you because Edwards relied on that a lot here too. He's cutting him off. He's backing Edwards up. If Edwards can keep his back off the fence, the probability of a takedown diminishes greatly.
Right.
God, you cannot.
No, it's so good.
Oh my
it's so
God.
good.
Sometimes it's like poetry coming. It's unbelievable what I just hand away, you know?
By the way, is your son getting into fighting?
Well, my son is tremendously interested. In fact, he's here in the background, and he's so hoping that you give him an invite. He just wants to say hello to Uncle Ariel, but
tell him to jump in.
He is training. There, you can come say hello.
Of course.
I told him, I said, you can't stay. We're doing this professional thing. You know, Helwani's got this new gig going. He just wants to at least say hi. He's right here.
There he is.
There we go.
My guy, how are you?
Not really.
Not really.
Okay.
I mean, because I'm a wrestler, I focus on that a lot.
Sure.
He wrestles 2 nights a week. He works on his strength for a night, and then he goes in the garage and works on his boxing. Is that a fair assessment? And challenges me every darn day.
I love it. I want his insights. What is he seeing here?
Oh, hey,
who's winning?
Hey, it's a
the
real
guy
invite.
in the
I thought
red?
he was giving me a fake. It's real. Come on back.
Who's winning?
You're in. You're with the boys now.
What do you see? What do you see? Who do you think's winning? The guy in the red or the guy in the black?
Me?
Yeah.
Red or black? Who's winning? Johnny or Fabian?
Black.
Hey, this is a big deal right here. This is a big game right here. There's no such thing as a single leg in MMA. He made it work. He pulled him off the fence.
Wait, what do you mean there's no such thing as a single leg?
Well, you only find a couple of guys in history. Daniel Cormier would be one. Chris Weidman would be one. Very few guys can get to a single leg and finish. And here's the thing, Ariel. I just want you to picture this in your head. If I grab a guy's leg, do I have his leg or does he have my hands? Right? You can hop around on one foot and now your hands are tied up. Johnny pulled him off. Johnny broke the rule there. You're supposed to drive on a single. He pulled him off. He made that work. But it's a big problem. That's where you're susceptible to guillotines. That's where you're susceptible. You might remember Travis Brown, Josh Barnett when he's dropping those elbows. A single leg is a problem, man. You're giving him your hands.
How much do those knees hurt? Those knees to the hamstrings there.
Tomorrow, a lot.
Okay. Now?
Yeah, tomorrow, a lot. You'll wake up in the ring. Not very much. A number of people say, well, it slows you down. He's making an investment for later. Those are just words. They do nothing.
What about the foot stomps?
Oh, boy. Break a guy's foot.
Really?
Yeah. Chris Lieben introduced those out of the Hard Rock Casino on a Wednesday night. What was that program? Was it like Fuel TV back then? Do you remember that? Chris Lieben, my own teammate. He never did that in practice. Robert Follows never taught that. Chris made that up and broke it out in the UFC. Now we all use it.
Wow. Actually, Randy was mentioning Chris. He actually compared Johnny Eblen to Chris on the prelim broadcast, saying that he's the type of guy Johnny Eblen is, who when he gets punched, when he gets hurt, when he gets hit, he tends to wake up, and it reminds him a lot of Chris, who only really got going once he got hit. Fair assessment?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, Chris Lieben, that's one of the reasons he won all those bonuses of the night. He'd be losing the fight and then come back and stop the guy.
Yeah.
Terry Martin, Aaron Simpson come to mind. Oh, Johnny's getting going here. Now he's throwing ones and twos behind it. Ones and twos into a shot. This works all day. It just takes a lot of energy. I mean, I do feel, to your point, like Johnny's kind of coming around. I do predict rounds 4 and 5 is where Johnny pulls away, standardly speaking. And I really think if Edwards was going to have an opportunity, even to catch him, even for the old, well, it only takes one punch. Well, it takes one punch from a guy who's fresh and sharp and powerful. As a guy starts to fade, man, your punches don't get harder as the night goes on. Hey, I got to tell you something.
Yes.
Hey, okay.
What do we got?
I was in Riyadh. I've been waiting to tell you this. I had to go to John Jones to get permission, who has refused to speak to me. Malky brokered a deal 24 hours ago. I was able to speak to John. I go to Riyadh. Okay, that's Bellator versus the PFL.
Yes.
John comes out. He gets in a quick face-off with Francis, but Francis had his hands a little bit full. He was getting ready to fight Joshua the very next week. Mike Tyson comes out. These were the special guests. When I'm coming through the airport, there is a black man who is getting essentially profiled, and I hear it happening. Okay, I know that's sensitive stuff, but I hear it happening, and I turn because I actually know the answer to the question the black man is asking. That black man was John Jones. So I go over and I'm helping John Jones to get through security, but now we're together. So I pick his brain, and I said, and the whole reason he was out there is to watch Bader versus Problemo. Francis is there because he's going to take on the winner. So it was very natural for me to say to John, what's going to happen with Problemo and Francis? He gave me about a 8-minute breakdown of that fight, and in no uncertain terms, he took Problemo, and it had nothing to do with his personal problems with Francis. He said he's just too big. He said he's too strong, he's too young, he's too wild. He's too willing to step in and engage. He said he's going to knock Francis out. He said he's going to knock Francis out in the first round.
Come on.
Yes.
Was that the first time you talked to him
Ever.
I remember when we did the show, the post-fight show, and he just beat Gustafsson for the second time, and you asked him a question, and you said, I'm not answering your question.
Yes. And then I sat there for the rest of the, he literally, he wasn't going to blink, and we knew he wasn't going to blink. He was not going to speak to me. That's why I had to go to Malky. I went to Malky like 3 times to get this done. I mean, this fight that I'm referencing was back in February. If I'm wrong, it was March.
No, February.
I finally told Malky, I'm out of time. The fight is Saturday. I either have permission to tell the story or I don't. And he went and got it. I was able to speak with John about it. I just said, John, I said, man, if anybody has the right to an opinion, it's the heavyweight champion of the world, okay? I would like to know, what do you think about these 2 heavyweights? One was the world champion that never lost his belt. You came and picked it up. The other one now grabbed a strap off of Bader. Like, in many ways, this is the true heavyweight championship. Like, it is very meaningful for the lineage of our sport what happens tonight. How incredible to have an insight from John Jones. I felt like I brought you a gem, whether you give me that credit.
It's a fantastic point. I was actually saving it in my back pocket. Chael, this is the first time that you can essentially say that the Strikeforce, Bellator, UFC, Pride, and PFL titles are all held by one man tonight. First time ever.
On the line tonight.
Isn't that crazy?
Lineage.
This is it.
Dave Meltzer did a very good job of our industry of bringing to us lineage, like kind of true champion and lineage. And yes, to your point, that's exactly what's happening tonight.
I sort of feel like that's been under-promoted. That needs to be told more, right? To the world. Like, yeah, they're both tall guys. Who cares about that? This is historic.
Yeah.
Problema beat Bader, who was the Bellator heavyweight champion. You put it all together under the PFL banner. This is the first time ever.
Yeah. And, Era, one of the reasons for that promotion is Ferreira is underrated. He's misunderstood. His own coach, I got to talk to Conan Silveira, the great coach Conan Silveira. And Conan said, Chael, he's a purple belt. And he said, that black belt's not coming anytime soon. And he said, this isn't a guy that I would throw in there with Joshua and tell you could go fight with Tyson Fury and go do these boxing things. He said, but he's big. He's never late to practice. He never leaves early, and he'll do anything that I ask. And Conan Silveira, who has coached more damn champions than any coach I can think off the top of my head, he said, hey, this is the guy. Regardless of how unpolished he is and how much better I can make him over time, this is the guy. He is DNA, and he is a physical problem. This guy, I don't know if anyone is more accurately monikered than him. And that's not to say that Francis can't beat him. By the way, I mean, I should disclose that, right? I should disclose. I almost had to kick Francis in the nuts one night. I actually got off the hook because of this guy.
What was that? Was that the one in Dallas?
Yeah.
What do you mean in the nuts? I thought you just got into an argument.
Yeah, of which I was going to have to kick him in the nuts. Not I did kick him in the nuts. I was squaring up his nuts. They were in front of me. I was wearing my size 10 crocodiles, and I was going to stick them right in his testicles. Are you understanding what I'm saying?
What was the issue? Like, what was the actual disagreement about?
Okay.
Tell us.
He does not enjoy me, and he's let me know that a couple of times because of commentaries I've done. Now, I didn't like what he did to the UFC. That was my opinion. I don't like that a guy's under contract and holds up a belt. That is my opinion. That's not a brutal opinion. You only have two opinions, right? You're rolling with him or you're not. He was upset about that. And then the mistake I made is after talking all this trash about him, when I saw him in the parking garage, his back was to me. So I went up to do like, hey, how you doing? Like grab him from behind, like, hey, how you doing? And he saw my hand coming and he moved and he said, you're going to touch me. And it was like one of these things. How you can't touch me? It like got really weird, really fast. And then he almost got a size 10 right in the ding dong.
This was Jake and Nate.
I said, Francis. He didn't see my son there. Nate Diaz had just given my son, I'm name dropping, but he gave my son a pair of gloves. So my son he's like shadow boxing with these new gloves on. And I said, Francis, not in front of my son. And he looked over and he dropped it. I've always respected that about him. Appreciate it. The more I appreciate it, but his testicles appreciates it more. Let me tell you, I would have stabbed him if I was going to start with the nuts out.
What do you think happens if your son's not there?
Probably nothing.
Yeah.
Probably nothing. But he was getting more heated as it went. It was one of those things. Like he kind of has a friendly voice. But I swear to goodness, when he turned and squared up with me, Ariel, I felt like I was staring at the biggest man I've ever seen. That is how he felt in that moment where I'm literally looking at him going, oh, you're a really big guy. I had that feeling one time with Brock Lesnar. I met Brock Lesnar. I remember standing next to him going, this is the biggest guy I've ever met. Might have been.
Was that UFC, which one was it? Was it UFC?
The heavyweights.
What do you mean the heavyweights?
Remember, it was a main card, but it was all heavyweights on the main card.
Yeah. He was there. He showed up, and that's when they were talking about him versus. They were going to try to do him versus Fedor.
They were going to try to do him versus Fedor, and that night, Frank Mir fought.
Yes.
And I can't remember who he fought. Maybe Kane. But I remember Brock told me when he was next to him, and he said, if Frank Mir wins, I'm going to have to come back. And it was just a comment, and maybe he was kind of playing it as a mark. He knew I'd come out and say, but he did make that comment, and I remember thinking, that'd be fun.
JDS. He fought JDS. Frank Mir in the main event.
JDS. That's exactly right. God, JDS could box.
Yeah.
JDS might be the best boxer heavyweight had seen in the UFC at that time. Pure boxer. Yes, he might have. Remember when he threw that uppercut, knocked out Verdun?
Oh, it was tremendous. Uh-oh.
All right, whoa, you can't call timeout. All right, here we go.
Eye poke.
That's always been a sticky one. Like, Beltran called that exactly the way you should. However, there's, just for conversation, in the rule book, you cannot call timeout. If you say stop for any reason, I mean, it's the entire point of the fight is to make the other guy stop. It's always been one of these fine lines. Now, I disagree with the rule book. We all know the intent. This is the right call, making conversation with you. But you can't call timeout in MMA.
Okay, let's see what happened here.
He took a poke right in the eye. Yeah. Here, you'll see it from this angle. Here, watch Fabian's right arm.
Yeah.
His right hand.
You okay, Johnny? Sure.
Chael, worst eye poke you ever received? Like you can't see.
Oh, it was a wrestling match. It was a wrestling match my junior year. And wrestling is so sensitive, and I don't curse anyway. And I remember on the mat just yelling. It wasn't out or anything. I yelled the F word. And after the whole event, which was like another 4 hours on the way home, that my mom was upset about that.
That you cursed?
Yeah, I just yelled. I covered my eye and just go, the F. There's nobody at a wrestling tournament, so, the whole building can hear it. Okay. Oh, easy. Oh, great. Did you see that?
That was nice.
Edwards pulls his leg down, and Johnny uses his set. Oh, he got him low there, but Fabian knew he got him. Fabian stopped that one before.
He did what you tried to do to Francis.
Edwards going to shake this off like Pierre did. Hey, remember when Pierre pushed her beam back?
That was the best. That was the best. No, he did what you tried to do to Francis there.
Yes.
By the way, if your mom was mad that you dropped the F-bomb in the wrestling match, how did she feel about you and your theatrical debut, Mojave Diamonds, I believe it was? Just
Diamonds.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you were dropping bombs left and right.
Yeah, she understood. You know, I also killed like 14 guys with machetes and machine guns. So, look at this. Look at Johnny, man. This is a high pace. You're not seeing it because it's not all working, but going in for a shot, making him sprawl, coming back up, coming up with punches, man. This is very high-level fighting right here. He's brawling. This isn't beautiful like, say, John Jones would do. This is a brawl, but this is very high-level stuff.
Okay, so let me ask you, Chael. Remember I said earlier, like, the momentum as far as, Johnny's one of the top 3 middleweights in the world had slowed down. We're 3 minutes away from a victory. Let's see what happens. You know, the fight isn't over just yet, but I suspect if it goes to scorecards, he's winning at least 4 rounds to 1, if not 5. Did he do anything to change that here with this performance?
Ariel, I like the adversity.
Okay.
I like the fact that he's having a hard time getting him down, that he's struggling, that he took an uppercut early, that he changed his stance. I see those things as positives. I know that's not what the guys on Monday morning come out with. It's got to be dominance, and it's got to be smooth, and it's got to be a finish in it, but that's just not realistic. You get these guys, man, they find themselves in hard contests, and they find a way to win. To your point you made earlier, and it was the fairest thing we've talked about so far. What is John? Why does John even want to be here? Right? I mean, he's already beat the guy once, whether it was hard or not. He got away with it. Woo, I got one. You want to move on. He's got nothing to gain. If he loses the fight, he loses the belt, he loses the undefeated record, and then what? He goes into a rubber match with a guy that he didn't want to fight the second time in the first place. Now he's fighting him a third time. It's a very hard spot, Ariel, and he's still winning each round. This is a very impressive performance. I mean, if I'm juxtaposing him, I'm putting in there. Robert Whittaker's as good of a fighter as you're going to see. Chimaev is on as good of a roll as you're going to see. I don't know how these guys come out and whip Johnny's ass.
What about DDP?
They're not throwing Johnny Evelyn down. Bo Nickel wouldn't pretend he could just throw Johnny Evelyn down.
What about DDP?
Hey Siri, text Bo Nickel.
Oh.
Could you throw Johnny Evelyn down and keep him there for 15 minutes if you needed to? Ariel wants to know.
Yeah, I do want to know. Let us know what he says. What about DDP?
Hey Siri, text Bo Nickel. Could you throw Johnny Evelyn down and keep him there for 15 minutes? Ariel and I would like to know.
Bo Nickel returning to action here in New York in a month against Paul Craig. What about DDP?
What do you think of that booking? How the hell do you come up with that? Paul
You got to
Craig
answer my DDP question, though. Can Evelyn hang with DDP?
We're learning about DDP, man.
Yeah.
We did not know DDP was as good as he turned out to be. He started running his mouth, so he gets a fight with Whittaker that he didn't deserve. He goes into it a 3-1 dog. He wins the whole damn fight and gets Whittaker out of there. Then he parlays that. He chickens out of a fight with Izzy. He shows up after like an 8-month break, and he out-conditions and out-kickboxes Sean Strickland. Sean, I'm very close with Sean. Sean felt like he won that fight. I thought Sean lost all 5 rounds. That's what I thought. And then he draws into Izzy, which, you know, there was so much stuff on that, and he came out of. I mean, I'm just saying, DDP, we don't quite know where his limit is. We just don't.
They're going for broke here now, Chael. What do you think?
Yeah.
I mean, you see Fabian's corner going nuts. They're going for broke. He has to get a finish here. He has to get a stop. He's exhausted. He can hardly keep his hands up.
Boy, there's that uppercut again. Hey, his future opponents better be watching this and learning that uppercut, whether it's putting Johnny down or not. Man, this thing is money. Look at that uppercut. This thing's money.
He's going for broke. Is it going to be shades of Leon Edwards versus Kamaru Usman? Look at Edwards and Lavelle. They're going nuts over there in the corner, but time is a-ticking. There's the clapper. 10 seconds to go. It doesn't look like he's going to be able to get it done. He's exhausted. He is absolutely I mean, imagine having this dude, Johnny Evelyn, just on you for 25 minutes. They're both exhausted.
Fabian's next fight will not be 5 rounds, and I'm just telling you, I'm not sure Fabian's not the #1 contender. I think people are gonna have a real hard time with them. I think booking him in the future. I mean, you got a massive problem right here at Fabian. To get through Fabian to get to Evelyn, PFL matched this one up right. They found their 2 top guys.
Why are they wearing Bellator gloves?
This is an astute point from you, Thero. By the way, is it Thero or Thero?
Thero.
Thero, I nailed it. Yeah, why are they wearing? Explain to him, Chael. Why are they wearing Bellator gloves?
Okay, so PFL has actually absorbed Bellator. They are both under one roof, so we're paying homage to both. Why they chose to wear those gloves, I suppose I don't actually know, other than
it's a Bellator middleweight title fight.
Bellator brand, and Johnny is actually the Bellator world champion.
And this was a Bellator middleweight title fight. This was a Bellator title fight on a PFL card. It's a little confusing, I know.
Yeah, I don't know why I said it like I don't know. I know exactly what. You seem to have some kind of a problem with believing that my foot and Francis's balls would have collided. What do you think, he was going to get out of the way for that? You think he wasn't expecting it? You think I don't have the courage to throw it? What part of that story were you like stumbling through?
No, I would have been, and you know, if shit would have went down, excuse me, if stuff would have went down, I would have been there. You know that, right?
Yes.
You know I would have had.
You want to know what I told Francis?
Yeah, Francis
we're face to face.
Yeah.
You want to know what I whispered to him? I said, young man, I fought John Jones on an hour's notice, and you still haven't fought him. Are you sure you want to do this?
What, did you?
No,
No.
I did not. That's a great line, though.
It's a
that
great
would have been fire.
Listen.
Look at her. You're
No
telling
one
me
would know
this
any
is
better.
the underdog? Look at her. Look at her. She's as spry and strong as she's ever been.
Larissa Pacheco, the last one. A lot of people were mad at PFL, Chael. Did you see this move that they did? They posted the video of Pacheco beating Harrison on the day of Harrison's last fight against Caitlin Vieira, and they thought it was a little too. You know what? I say all's fair. It's the promotional war.
Man.
Come on.
This is war. Are you kidding me?
I didn't.
No, there's nothing wrong with that. Hey, Pacheco's great, by the way. I'm not underestimating her. Where would you put her, Ariel? If she gets the jump over Harrison and Cyborg, do you move her in front of Amanda?
Tough, because let's not forget Harrison beat her twice. I know it's a what have you done for me lately world. Cyborg on the back 9 or maybe back 3. I still don't have her number 1.
Can we agree, though, if we're even discussing this, if we're even comparing her to Queen Amanda, big deal.
Ladies and gentlemen,
huge
gone
deal.
the distance.
Huge deal.
In the first of our world title fights
This is
tonight,
probably
we'll go now to your
49-46 or 50-45, right?
Hadi Ali and
Yeah.
Cologne. All three have it exactly the same at 48-47.
Wow.
I'll see it for the winner by
Wait,
unanimous decision. And still, Bellator
Chael,
Hey, I got
48-47.
nervous there for a second.
Yeah.
Something felt off there for a second.
Chael, 48-47, a little closer than I thought, no?
I believe that Johnny won every one of those rounds. I am highly curious where the 2 rounds came from. How great does Ray Seffel look, by the way? Some guys look better as they age. I
Yeah.
gotta say, life has been good to the president.
Yes, the Silver Fox. Can I ask you, Chael? We were talking about John. We were talking about the heavyweights, this and that. Do you think he's trolling when he says he won't fight Tom? I feel like he's just trying to rile us up. I think he would fight Tom if he beats Stipe.
He would fight him.
Yeah.
There was a little bit of a misunderstanding, in all fairness, in John's specific words. If we're trying to take him at literal and hold him to it, which we shouldn't do to storytellers and fighters, but, Ariel, John is committed to one more fight. Now, he's committed to that one more fight as a way of making sure that he doesn't fall for what we're all trying to get him to fall for, which is to take his eyes off of the baddest son of a bitch he's ever faced. Not maybe. Daniel Cormier is the baddest dude he's faced. Daniel Cormier dropped 2 fights to this guy. MMA math works. And I'm only telling you that because if they want to pull Stipe and put Tom in, John will be there in November to defend the heavyweight championship. But he's only committing to 1. That's where the misunderstanding comes. That 1 right now is Stipe. But John is committed to 1, and he's committed to the Garden in November on pay-per-view for the belt. That's the truth.
Yeah, I agree. I think he fights him. I don't think he's worried.
Where do you put Piera in your all-time? You're about to boot me up, but I've actually wanted to ask you this.
Sure.
Where do you put Piera in your GOAT list? If it ends today, where do you put Piera?
Do you mean Alex Pereira?
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. GOAT, tough, but I mean he's number 1 pound for pound for me. I mean, it's no question, right? That's I don't even know how that's a debate. Jones, Islam.
Wow, that's a big claim. That's a big claim.
You disagree?
Rob 10 straight and no, I have it the same way. I'm just saying, from you, Journalist of the Year, I believe 15 times.
14.
That's a big claim.
14 to be exact. I don't want to get crazy. I think he's number 1. He won at 85. He won at 205. He's taking fights on short notice. He's knocking everyone out. He's incredibly talented. The last fight was incredible. So I have him number one. GOAT is a little bit too soon. We have to get many more title defenses. To me, the Mount Rushmore of UFC champions is as such. It's Anderson Silva, it's George St. Pierre, it's John Jones, and it's Demetrius Johnson. Those are the four. I don't think it's
Khabib.
Wow.
Wow.
Look at the defenses. Look at the defenses. He left too soon. You can't go hypothetical. I'm talking about the facts. Those guys all had almost double digits, all of them, if not all of them, off the top of my head.
Aaron, look how PFL is filming this, though. Look how they're filming. Nice. They're going right into this package for Cyborg. I love this spacing, man. I got to tell you, if this is all Greenberg's design.
No, it's mine.
I mean, whether it's Pete and Don, whoever needs to get credit for this, but this is outstanding. This is a real treat. I don't want to wait. Let's go.
Let's go. Let's not waste time. I told them we're doing Helwanivision. You got to speed this bad boy up. And so that means we have to get to Megan Anderson, who's going to join us for that fight. Chael Thero, this has been
Megan
fun.
Is fire.
Yes.
Megan is fire. Tell her I said hello. I miss watching Megan fight. Tell her I said hello. I had made some comments during the Olympic Games with the Algerian Olympic medalist, and Megan came in and backed me up on social media. Let her know I saw that, and I appreciated it.
Salt of the earth. This was fun. Let's do it again, Chael. Love you guys.
Oh, it's fun. Francis is steel balls.
Hey,
I done
real
kicked
window.
him in the nuts.
Real
I done
window.
Kicked you too.
Real window.
I'd have shanked him, and I'd have put one in. I'd have put a 38 in you. You guys have no idea what you're dealing with, pulling a gangster into a parking garage. I've had it with you and your fake compliments. Goodbye, Helwani.
I'll kick his ass for you.
Kaboom. There he is. How do they always time that stuff so well? Those two are great. Appreciate them very much. Congratulations to Johnny Eblin, still the Bellator middleweight champion. And that means the streak of underdogs winning comes to an end. We got Cyborg versus Pacheco, massive fight at 145. You don't get a lot of these, and we don't get Cyborg a lot in MMA these days, and so we wanted to have one of the best minds in the sport join us. Let us go now and say hello to the aforementioned Megan Anderson. Hello, Megan. How are you?
Hello, I'm good.
What a guy. Did you hear that from Chael?
I did.
Is that true? Did you have his back? What is he talking about, by the way?
I did. Well, I think it was the Algerian, like the female boxer.
Yes,
there was
Khalif,
all of that.
Iman Khalif.
Yeah, there was all of that discourse about the whole Olympic stuff. And I seen his video on YouTube that he posted, and I thought it was very well said, very well researched, and I did back him up on that. I got a lot of kickback for that, but I did agree with everything that Chael said.
Well, now you know that he saw it and appreciated it. And we appreciate you being here. This has been a lot of fun. We're having a blast, and wanted to have you on because you've become one of the best analysts in the game, and obviously with a big title fight in the women's division for PFL, it's huge. And of course, you know who Chris Cyborg is quite well as well. What do you think? You know, I told Chael, I don't know if you know this, Chris is the underdog going into this fight. Did you know that?
What?
Yes.
That's surprising.
Okay.
But I mean, kind of surprising, but I can understand with the fact that she hasn't fought in a while. However, the disrespect is a little much, in my opinion, considering the resume that she brings.
Do you think Pacheco... See, I think Pacheco gets a lot of love for the win over Harrison, and rightfully so, but people then just completely ignore the fact that Harrison beat her twice. And I feel like she was just lacking motivation. She's like, I have to fight this person for a third time. And I feel like we don't take that into account when we talk about their history.
Completely agree. And I also feel like 145 is a much better weight class for Pacheco than 155. I think 155, it was just too big. She wasn't able to be in like proper like peak condition. Whereas I feel like she's able to like 10 pounds lighter.
Okay, I do have to say, I got rid of Chael, and he keeps calling me. So I think he wants to say something. He won't stop calling me, and I've told him we've moved on. We have a new guest. Chael, we said goodbye. Why do you keep calling me?
No, Megan, I hope Megan doesn't think I'm being rude. I heard back from Bo Nickel. I just wanted to pay that one off. It turns out that Bo and Johnny are training partners. Bo refused to answer the question, and he credited Johnny with his own success and looks forward to Johnny and he rising to the top together.
Okay, well, thank you.
I just had to pay that off.
No, you do. That's a good journalist. Thank you.
I'm still gonna kick his ass.
Okay,
I
sorry.
love Chael Sonnen so much.
He had to pay it off. We asked Bo
I
Nickel
love
a
it.
question. He had to give us
I
the
did
answer.
see that. He is such a character. I do not think that he would have come anywhere close to Francis.
Wait, he's
in
paying
my
you all
opinion.
this love and homage, and you're saying he can't hang with Francis?
I mean, I mean, maybe peak Chael, not Chael now.
Chael on steroids. Tropicana Chael.
Yes.
Filled with a lot of juice. Here she is.
I mean, could you imagine though what it would be like now, like MMA today, if like steroids were legal? I mean, I know it's not, but can you imagine the animals, like with the way that the sport has evolved? I feel like that would be dangerous.
Well, I have a theory that a lot more people are on stuff than we think. I mean, there's a lot of smart people and a lot of smart science out there, right? Am I naive?
Yeah.
What do you think?
No, I agree. I mean, oh my God, you hear stories all the time about people getting around the whole IV.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
You're not able to rehydrate with IVs, and I mean, people get around it all the time.
And that's just like the baseline. I'm talking about like the designer stuff, you know?
I know.
And by the way, we are not talking about this. I mean, elephant in the room as Chris Cyborg is coming up. Due to, it is a little weird. It's all Chael's fault. It's all Chael's fault. It's all Chael's fault. But could I ask you? I've actually never asked you this question. There's that video that people always bring up of like the way you looked when you walked into the Apex for your. Is that?
God.
Can you clear this one up?
Okay, so we'd just gotten there, and they had like, there'd be like, I think like the clothing department was just like, you can't wear these shoes because they're branded like Nike shoes. And like, obviously it was under Reebok at the time. And I was just like, listen, this is like the second last pay-per-view of the Reebok deal. I was like, if you guys find me, just find me. Like, I don't really care. Like, I don't give a shit, whatever. And I was listening to music in my headphones, but what it is they make you walk so abnormally slow, and the lights are so bright. They're like those weird fake, like they're like little like spotlights, but they're so bright that I was like partly blinded. So I didn't know where I was going. I was walking so incredibly slowly, and I was just like, listen, if you're gonna find me for whatever I'm wearing, just do it already. Like, just let me get there. Let me get my shit together.
Did they find you?
No.
So everyone posts that video thinking that you're terrified to fight Amanda Nunes, but it's really because you were thinking about the fine and the shoes and all that stuff.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to get in there. I just wanted to get my hands wrapped, start doing my like pre-fight routine, all that kind of stuff. It had nothing to do with being scared. Like my thing is like, when I fought, I was more scared of like not fighting to my own potential. I could care less if I got submitted, I got knocked out. I'm like, because that's just a part of the sport. And when you're in a division like the featherweights, we all hit hard. Like, there is like a chance with any punch that you could be going out. So like, that was never, I've never been scared to fight anyone, and I have a tremendous amount of respect for Amanda. But I truly believed that if I had, different preparation, I think things could have gone differently, but they didn't.
What do you mean different preparation? Like the training camp was better?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that in retrospect, or you knew that in the moment?
Bit of both.
Okay.
I don't want to talk too much on it, because the last time
I feel like you're giving us a morsel here.
The last time I told the truth about certain things, I had a lot of people attacking me.
Oh,
so
no, not here. This is a safe space.
I was like, I'm just gonna. It's so long ago now that it is what it is. I don't even fight anymore. Amanda doesn't even fight anymore. We're retired after the sunset. We had our moment. She is incredible. So, there's no point in reminiscing.
Amen. So what are you thinking here? What are you feeling? Before the fight starts, your prediction?
I don't think this one's going to go to the decision.
Okay.
Well, my thing is like with Chris is she tends to come out like pretty aggressive right off the bat. And it'll be interesting to see if Larissa is able to make her respect the power to prevent her from kind of like rushing in like she normally does.
Do you think Larissa is for real?
I think so. Yeah, she's looked great in her last couple bouts. Like, I mean, I would say like Chris has fought the much better competition, 100%. Like, no doubt about it. Like, she's been doing it for longer. You know, she's been in every promotion. It's hard not to fight the best of the best when you be doing this for what, like 20 years, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
It's crazy.
So, but like Pacheco, she's great. She's got a ton of power. She's improving from fight to fight. And you know, when that's what you want to see, is you don't want to see somebody that was beautiful timing on that
From Chris.
but you don't
Nice.
yeah, well, and that's what I love about Chris is like she could have went the old route, right? Like the way that she was winning was beating everybody, and she didn't really have to change anything. And then the Amanda fight happened, and she's like, okay, like you have two options, right? You can either go, I'm just going to keep doing what I was doing. This is just an outlier, like, and make excuses. Or you go, okay, like I need to make some changes. I need to work on this. I need to not walk as heavy, so I'm lighter. The weight cut's easier, so my cardio is better when it gets to fight time. Like, start implementing different facets of her game, because she's great. She's a BJJ black belt. She never really uses it.
Yeah, 9 years older than Pacheco she is. Ooh,
Oh!
Jeez.
That was nice.
She's won 11 in a row. She has in that 11 4 boxing bouts, and I was wondering, and this is a topic heading into the Francis fight too. Like we saw what some boxing training did to Connor's game. It kind of changed him up a little bit, and sometimes I feel like people fall in love with the boxing and it changes the way they fight in MMA. Clearly not an issue here. She's looked good so far, but do you think that that's a real thing?
I think it can be, yeah. And I think because like, I feel like it happens more so when you have a predominant striker, because like the joy or like the appeal of boxing is 1000% like, I don't have to worry about somebody trying to take me down. I don't have to worry about somebody trying to grapple me. So like they fall in love with that aspect of boxing, because it's like, oh, I could just punch somebody and all they can do back is the same thing. So when they go back into MMA, they're susceptible to the wrestling because they're not used to that timing, because they've been competing with something else that's just one discipline.
You mentioned all the belts, all the accolades. This would be Cyborg's 5th title. Invicta, Strikeforce,
that's impressive.
Bellator, UFC, and then this one. Never got the Elite XC one, but they didn't really have a 145 division. She probably would have gotten that one too.
Probably. When that's the thing is like, it's just so impressive when you have somebody that has been able to be so dominant in every single like promotion.
Yeah.
Like it's so rare. It's so rare to do.
So what happens here? Should Pacheco let go? There's nothing really going on. Should she keep squeezing? She could tire herself.
Yeah. I mean, I would probably let go. I don't think it's that tight.
Right.
I think Chris is almost out, but I mean, this could be Larissa like getting some, getting some air, relaxing, like going into, kind of settling into the fight a little bit, because Chris has kind of hit her a couple times pretty hard. She's taken her down a couple times.
Oh, there's the head. Is Chris... She's not bleeding, is she? Is that blood from her? I don't remember that blood being there before.
Right. Oh, damn.
But maybe I'm...
So they're allowing
bleeding.
elbows. Yeah, I think from like above her left eyebrow.
Yeah.
It looks like it. I wonder what got her.
Clash of heads? I don't know. But yes, you're allowed to use elbows here because this is a non-tournament fight.
Oh, yeah. So it's just the PFL tournament that they no elbows, right?
Yeah. How do you feel about that?
I'm not a fan of that, partly because like that's a huge part of my game, and I think it's a huge part of a lot of people's games. It can change the course of a fight. So, taking one small part from somebody's game that could be crucial to their success, I think isn't really fair. But not my tournament.
Right. But we got to see here, because this could be the deciding factor for this round. I mean,
I
obviously...
could have made that elbow over the top, maybe.
Was it here? Okay, so that was a massive
that
kick
was
to the head.
beautiful.
But where's the... Ooh, was it right there? Ooh.
Maybe.
That huge kick, and I think that was it. I think it was that right hand. Is that enough damage from Pacheco to win her the round?
No.
She cut her open.
I mean, yeah, but she didn't really do much else other than like one strike. Like she hit her a couple times, right? Little bit of a submission attempt, but it wasn't really super threatening. I think Chris, with the takedowns, the pressure, the aggression, the control, I think she for sure won that round. Should be.
Worst cut you ever got in a fight?
Thankfully,
Never.
Not
once.
Wow. The MMA gods blessed me in that regard. I did completely tear my UCL in my elbow though, and I broke my nose and I broke a hand. So no cuts though, thank God. Which I'm so glad because I'm terrified of needles. So if I'd had to get stitches, I probably would have cried. Like I would have been traumatized.
It's so crazy to me that someone who gets punched in the face for a living would be terrified of a needle.
Yeah, I mean, just the idea of having like sutures like that's like being sewn up. It's just sewing is for clothing, not for people.
Fair. Okay, so if you're Pacheco's team now, what do you have that moment end of the round? What are you hoping happens here in the second?
I think she's got to set up her offense a little bit. She's not feinting. She's not throwing out that jab as much. And she's she's looking for that big shot, which is enabling Chris to kind of get in underneath her and get in on her hips for those takedowns. So if she's able to kind of keep that range, utilizing those feints, utilize that jab, I think she could start picking it up in this second round.
Heavy-handed. She rocked her there too. Is the cut reopening? Not quite.
Yeah, I had the first round going to Cyborg.
Oh, hey, Jake. He's coming up later. Keep it down, bro. Oh!
That was nice.
It is remarkable seeing Cyborg still fight and still be competitive, still this good at this age. 39.
I know.
30 freaking 9.
I know.
Who do you think would have won, Cyborg or Ronda? In their primes.
Chris.
Easy?
I love Ronda, and I love what I'm going to preface this with. I love Ronda, and I love what Ronda has done for the sport. And I don't think, particularly women's MMA, would be where it is without somebody like Ronda. But Ronda had no striking to save her life. Like, it got exposed very quickly against a legitimate striker in Holly Holm. And Chris Cyborg can strike, and she's got a ton of power. So, like, she's getting knocked out pretty quick.
Okay, so now this is obviously with the knowledge of what happened with Holm, but in the moment when it was like the hottest debate, and Cyborg had to deal with the UFC and she's Invicta and she's trying to go. Did you believe that back then too?
That Chris would have
that she would have like ran through her, yeah. Because remember there was a time where people were saying like Ronda versus Floyd, Ronda on the cover of Ring magazine. Remember all that stuff?
I do remember that. Yes. My thing is like so many people can look good on mitts, but they're not very good when it comes to like striking in real life. And they did a really good job of marketing her very well on like she looked great when she hit mitts, but hitting mitts is not real.
She did knock out Betch Correia, if you recall.
Yeah, this is true. It's
a lot of revisionist history on Ronda.
I don't really rate Betch either, so respectfully.
Fair. So this is more of Chris on the ground and pound.
Yeah. Well, this is smart fight IQ, right? Larissa's starting to get some momentum. She's starting to put on some pressure, starting to set the pace. Hit her a couple times. So Chris is like, okay, I'm not able to get my striking going this round. Let's take it to the ground because it's been relatively easy so far for her to be able to take Larissa down. You know, Larissa's stuff like maybe 1 takedown this round, maybe 2. But as the fight goes on, it's going to get easier for Chris. to exploit that area if Larissa's putting too much pressure as she's trying to get that big shot that she's looking for.
One thing I will say about Chris, obviously known as an incredible striker, her Muay Thai great, underrated to a degree on the ground as well. Like, she was always very well versed with her jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, we just never seen it.
Yeah.
It never got that far for us to see it.
She is bleeding a lot, though. She is tasting. She's got the proverbial crimson mask.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I feel like that's got to feel good for Larissa, for sure. Because, like, there's visual damage.
For sure. And that's why I wonder if the judges... So clearly the second round, I would say, is Chris's round. I do wonder if a judge or two, even based on the wonky scoring in the last fight, even though the right guy won, 48-47 was way closer than I thought. I do wonder if a judge or two gave Larissa the first because of the damage inflicted. Because ultimately, that should be the first criteria.
Yeah. I mean, potentially.
You disagree.
Yeah, but I feel like there has to be more
than just
like
one.
more than just one strike type thing, because what is it like? Damage, effective striking and grappling,
damage,
and
duration,
then like
dominance.
Yeah. So it's like
it's all
right?
very subjective and ambiguous.
But I feel like she didn't do enough in that first round. Like she had the one good punch that opened her up. But oh my God.
That is a gnarly cut, I have to say.
I don't want.
Look at you, the fighter. You can't handle it. If someone was like sitting at a bar with you right now, they would never know that you're a former champion, that you have actually been in the cage with some of the baddest people on the planet.
Yeah, no. I've opened somebody up in a fight, but like thankfully not gonna lie, it's a gnarly experience because I remember I elbowed it's like my fight in Australia, I forgot who I fought. And I remember elbowing her and like probably like a cut this long, like opened up on her forehead, and it felt like it just popped open. And I was like, oh, this is kind of gross. Like, what is going
Zara
on?
Farron.
Yes, that's it.
You were actually thinking in the moment, this is gross.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
I was like, oh my God. Because I've broken people's noses, I've broken their orbitals and stuff like that. But I've never seen a cut open up like that in real time, like right in front of me. I was like, oh, it's kind of cool, but kind of gross.
Can you feel when you break their orbital? Like, can you feel the sensation, or is it too quick?
No, I didn't feel it. Like you kind of, like it starts to blow up a little bit.
Yeah.
Like as the fight goes on, or like in between rounds and stuff like that, and that's when you can kind of know. Wait, what are they doing?
Oh, they're talking smack. Larissa saying, come on.
Are they?
It's a little Max Holloway-esque.
Are they talking smack in Portuguese?
Maybe. You know, Larissa was asked earlier this week, like, this has got to be like a dream for you, right? Like, you probably looked up to Chris. She's like, nah, didn't look up to her. Didn't care for her. She wasn't my favorite. Which I
really?
thought, yeah. Surprising, right?
Yeah. Did she did she look up to like Amanda or something like that?
The follow-up was not asked.
Oh, God.
I'm not the one who asked. I was watching an interview with her. By the way, what about her neck tattoo? I mean, as someone who has a tattoo or two, like this,
have a couple.
This seems a little intense. No, do you see that on Pacheco?
Couldn't be me.
Yeah, Jesus.
I don't think my bosses would be happy with that. That's
or just like
sure.
General life, right? Like you just go out and about with the neck tat. It's tough.
Yeah, that's one thing that that's a tough tattoo. I mean, I feel like it just depends on like what you want to do. Because like if you want to go into certain fields after you compete, like you can't really have all that going on. It's like,
Did you always want to go into TV?
Ironically, no. It just kind of was something that I feel like the way that like my mind works, like it's very analytical, and I'm able to like see patterns and break down, fighters, and that was beautiful.
That was very nice.
Yeah, I can kind of like, it just kind of was like a natural progression for me. It definitely like just having like your own like YouTube channel, right, and breaking other fights where you can just talk about forever is one thing, but then like doing it for like TV when you have, you know, only 45 seconds to talk and you don't know the question that the host is going to ask beforehand is like that. It's a whole different animal that I think a lot of fighters don't realize. Like when you make that switch it's a lot more difficult than you realize, and you have like a producer or director in your ear giving you like, I need you to rap, or giving you,
it's tough.
Yeah, it's a whole different animal, but it's challenging, but rewarding in a very different way.
What do you like better, that or, you know, the broadcast stuff? Like when you're cage side, you're doing the interviews in the ring, like being the analyst or being part of the actual broadcast?
I kind of enjoy both. Like I like the ability to have multiple different hats. Like I commentate, and then I do the in-ring interviews after the fights, but then like I can also be an analyst as well. So I like being able to have different hats because I feel like it all helps in all the different aspects. Because like analyst hat, you start watching a fight, right? You start noticing patterns, you start noticing, you know, things that certain fighters are doing. So you're able to kind of give that, you know, notice or kind of highlight that in the moment. And yeah, I don't know. I enjoy all of it.
You're doing great. You're doing great. And
thank you. I try.
No, it's great to see. And Larissa Pacheco is doing great as well. I think she might be winning this round. Yeah.
I think she's definitely turned it around this round, 100%. And it's like her conditioning is exceptional. She's looked great. Because like this isn't a slow fight by any means. It's very high paced.
And so now you wonder if Cyborg's age comes into play for these last two rounds. She hasn't been as active as far as MMA is concerned.
Right.
She's 39. Father time undefeated.
It gets you. It truly does. You see it time and time again. Eventually, it catches up to you.
And so,
but I feel like her reaction time is still pretty there. But it just could be like just.
Oh, there it was. Come on. You don't. By the way, in the history of Chris Cyborg's fighting career, you haven't seen a lot of people say, "Come meet me in the middle" to her.
No.
And haven't
I love
seen
that
scenes
Larissa
like that.
is.
You haven't seen Cyborg getting dropped and getting hit with shots. You haven't seen her getting cut and bleed.
No.
And so to me right now, going into this fourth round, Megan, it really comes down to that first. I think we both agree that Cyborg won the second. We both agree Larissa won the third.
Yeah.
You think that Cyborg won the first. I think there's a case to be made for Pacheco in the first, but I understand where you're coming from. I just keep thinking about that cut and the damage that was inflicted in that first. This is, I mean, we could be witnessing a changing of the guard here as far as the featherweight division. And now that Kayla no longer fights at the featherweight division, this is really for the best women's featherweight in the world. There's no doubt about it, right?
Yeah. No, 100%. And because, I mean, Chris has been at the top of 145 for forever, right? I mean, obviously, apart from Amanda, but they don't have a division no more. No. So it doesn't really...
And I doubt Amanda comes back as a 45er if she does come back.
No. It'll be 135. Like if she does. My thing is just like I don't see any compelling fight for Amanda to come back right now, but that could change.
You don't think Kayla's a big fight?
Yeah, but I feel like Kayla needs to get past Pena first.
And if Pena gets
which
by,
I think Kayla beats Pena. But I think it depends on how dominant she's able to be against Pena.
Okay.
Because Pena's a dog. Like, as much as it can be a little bit delusional at times, cutting her promos.
I like them.
She's a dog, and she does not go away, and she's a tough fight for anyone.
Are you surprised Harrison has made 35 twice?
I am, but my main concern for Kayla was just because you can make the weight doesn't mean you always should make the weight. And like I seen wasn't it like the week after her last fight she said she was like peeing blood?
Yeah.
Stuff like that. I'm like that's the stuff that like that concerns me. Because I'm like is it worth it for your health long term?
That's a great point. I mean, you're peeing blood.
Like,
you're getting up there in age. You've had a long career. You're a 2-time gold medalist. You're a mom. Is it worth it? The damage that you're doing to your body.
Well, and that's why I feel like if she does continue, it'll be like she'll fight for the title next. She might have one more fight if Amanda comes back and wants to fight her. If she wins the belt, and then that'll be it type thing. Because I don't think she can sustain that for too long.
No.
And I don't want her to sustain that for too long because. Like, that's what a lot of people don't realize. I'm a big believer that, like, amateurs or, like, very early level pros shouldn't be cutting weight because you are going to be competing for only a small fraction of your life. Like, why would you want to ruin, like, your body and your hormones and, you know, screw up everything going on inside when you have the rest of your life to live?
Mm-hmm.
Like, is it worth it at the end of the day?
It's a very strong point. I don't even know if she fully knows the answer to that right now. Like in 5 years, she might look back and say that wasn't worth it.
Right.
What are we seeing here so far? Halfway through the 4th round, is Pacheco's in this.
She looks good. She looks like she's got a swag.
Yeah, she's calm.
She's kind of seeing everything. She's got Chris on the back foot, which very rarely happens.
She's biting on her feints there. I mean. This is impressive. Ooh.
Oh, that was huge, though. That hurt her.
Yeah. That's the classic Chris Cyborg. You're up against the cage, right? Your back is just like...
just winging punches.
So many have fallen. Now, I'm impressed. You know what? If Pacheco pulls this off, it's almost more impressive to me than the Harrison win because I really think motivation was a factor in that one for Harrison. She just wanted to leave. Sort of like DJ and Cejudo a little bit. The second one that they
had.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? DJ was done at that point.
Yeah, no, 100%.
This one is...
he was so checked out.
Yeah, and he knew probably that if he stayed champion, he couldn't get traded or something. They would never trade him as champion, you know? Not suggesting that he, like, threw the fight or anything like that, but motivation is a real thing, right? If your heart isn't fully... Ooh, cracked her again.
No, if your heart's not in it, it's hard to get up. Train twice a day, 3 times a day, 6 days a week.
Have you ever been close to coming back? Like, have you ever been to a point? No, there was nothing.
No. I love competing, but I fell out of love with the process of getting there. So I don't miss cutting weight. Like it was getting, like I didn't want to do that anymore. It's not. I don't even think I can make 145 pounds anymore. I didn't even want to try.
How bad was it towards the end?
I was training so much that I was walking so light that I had no energy to do anything. So I couldn't get above like 158 pounds. Jeez. And my body was just dying. I was tired. I was exhausted. Because I was just pushing myself so hard. And I was stressed about because like my last fight, I had to make 145 even. I hadn't made 145 pounds even since 2017.
Damn.
So, and like a couple of those ones, like I had to use the towel, like I had to use the curtain because I was like, I'd almost missed weight and like a lot of really bad weight cuts. So, yeah, I don't miss sitting in those bars. My knees hurt, my hips hurt, my back hurts. I was like, I don't want to do this no more. I'm also like people like I'm like 6'2", so like stuck in those tiny bars. I'm like I don't fit.
Yeah, you're at like the local Marriott or Hilton, and those are tiny baths. Those aren't like the ones in your
like the airport hotel bathrooms. No, I'm like a little pretzel, like all like folded up, trying to fit my body in this tiny bar. It was not pleasant.
What do you think would have like if you would have beaten Amanda that night? Would you have retired because you had nothing left, or do you think that would have like re-energized your love for the game or reignited it?
I don't know. I've never really thought about it. Partly because like it didn't turn out that way, but I definitely think my life would be very different. 100%. Sure. I think like the like I would have to like think hard about if it was something that I wanted to continue doing, because I didn't enjoy towards the end the whole training process.
Sure.
And the coaching I received.
I get it. I say no more. Say less, as the kids say, Megan. Say less.
Say less.
If you are cornering Larissa, what did you tell her going into the fifth?
I mean, put it all out there.
Just
like
go
be,
for it.
but be smart.
Okay.
I mean, don't trade in the pocket like this. Like put Chris on the back foot. Put her up against the cage. You know, as soon as she gets her back to the cage, you know, that's where you go like your 3-4 punch combinations. Like, don't let her set the pace. Go first, be last.
So far you don't like it. You don't like what you're seeing from her.
I'd like her to open up a little bit more.
Okay.
I like the pressure that she has, but when you look at the exchanges, it's like she's waiting for something to happen. But it's like she's waiting for Chris to throw so she can counter, but she needs to be a little bit more open with that lead hand to draw those big shots out of Chris so she can counter.
Flip side, if this is even going to the fifth, what does Cyborg need to do? What do you want to see?
I would say
from her?
like don't let Larissa back her up.
Okay.
You take the center and stay there. Like this.
Here she
this
goes.
Is what you want to say. Oh. Larissa with the failed takedown attempt.
Yeah.
That was not a smart decision. This
Perhaps
could have
she got
just
cracked.
this
This
could have
could be it,
just
right?
won Chris
Yeah.
the fight. Yeah. Oh, she's back up though.
Yep.
But that's a pretty big moment for this fifth round. And if it's like say it's 2-2 going into the fifth, like these moments are huge.
One thing I was wondering about Larissa going into this fight, she's won the tournament twice, $1 million plus whatever she was making. For someone like her, that's more money than she was ever going to make in the UFC. If the motivation dampens a little bit when you're making that kind of money, you know what I mean? This kind of early in your career. I know she's 30, so she's technically not. But you know, most people in her position in MMA aren't making $1 million, right?
No.
Yeah.
I will say, and I feel like, okay, how much of Kayla's in that third fight was that too? Because she'd won it a couple times. But I feel like with the name of Chris Cyborg,
this is
should motivate you. It's like if you could dethrone somebody like Chris, right, who is multi-organization champion, I feel like that's a pretty big deal.
I mean, this is legacy stuff right here for Cyborg. The next 80 seconds, she could get her fifth belt. No one will probably touch that for the foreseeable future. She's bleeding a ton.
I don't feel like ever.
Yeah, it's going to be
I don't think
tough.
we'll ever see that.
Given the landscape and how few major promotions there are these days.
Right.
And
the
flip
weight
side,
classes those promotion has.
Right, exactly. And on the flip side, here you have 57 seconds, and Pacheco, I think, is still in it. Maybe.
That was large. Like, this is just like veteran moves by Chris. Is like she knows like she just needs to go first. Like, keep going first. Whereas like Larissa's kind of slowing a little bit. Oh, that was a nice.
When you say going first, what do you mean? Just like dictating the pace, dictating the action?
Yeah. Because it's like Larissa's almost like she's hesitant. She's waiting. She's waiting. It's like she's waiting for Chris to throw first.
Right.
Yeah, to counter. And it's not going to work against somebody like Chris.
Why not?
Well, just because she's just too strong. She's too athletic. And she has so many tools in her belt.
Tough rounds to score, right? I mean, in that one, what do you think? Chris probably?
I think Chris won that fifth round. So like 2-5.
I think Chris got it. I think Chris got it.
1-2-5 Chris.
That's what you're
3-4.
Yeah, because you're sticking with one
Pacheco.
Chris, right? You're sticking with 1. You're sticking with 2. 2 was the easier one to call. I think she won the 5th. Yeah, 3. Maybe it comes down to that first still. Fascinating. Look at that blood.
Well, and you think, right, how good is Larissa Pacheco's chin?
Yes.
Because she got cracked many a times and didn't go down. And look at how many times Chris has knocked people out. Like even like in her last Bellator bout.
Oh yeah.
Like she's got a tremendous amount of power, and the fact that Larissa didn't even, I mean, she hurt her a little bit, but I mean, she was able to recover. She's tough as nails.
Yeah, her last Bellator bout was almost exactly a year ago, and that was the Kat Zingano win. She won that in the first round. What grade are you giving Chris tonight? Considering the age, considering, she's fighting once every 2 years in MMA these days. What do you think?
I feel like that's not really like her choice. I feel like she would like to fight more consistently because like she knows that she's coming to the end of her career. I gotta give like a lot of people might not agree with it, but I give her an A+ because she's a pioneer. I have so much respect for her. She's done something that nobody has done ever in the sport of mixed martial arts. Multiple belts in multiple promotions. Like, you can't have anything but the utmost respect for her.
Agreed. She may have just gotten her 5th title. Those stats would suggest, but the stats don't always tell the story. Here we go.
No.
I think Chris gets it.
We'll welcome to the smart cage for the presentation of the world title belt, His Excellency Bandar Al-Qadi, Vice Minister of the Ministry of Sports.
Let's see. They always drag it out here, right? I mean,
the chairman of the Saudi
everyone's getting a mention.
Along with President of PFL Fighter Operations, Ray Sefo.
Okay, all right.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, having gone the distance,
yes.
Okay.
we'll go to your 3 judges.
Let's get to this. Let's get going.
Scores of 49 to 46.
I want to know.
Judge Hadi
49, 46.
46.
Judge
Sal D'Amato 49 to 46.
Wow. 4-1.
For the winner by unanimous decision. And now the PFL Super
It's got to be Chris.
Women's Featherweight World Champion, Chris Cyborg.
There it is. Wow. 49, 46.
I would say like 1, 2, 4, 5.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah.
I think 3 was the most dominant for Larissa.
Agreed.
She tried to put her head through it.
It's a big ass belt, but man, Chris Cyborg at 39, still doing it. The problem is, Megan, who does she fight? Like, there's no, you know what I mean? That's the problem now. This was a big fight, but then where does she go from here? There's no Kayla.
Well, I
PFL.
know she was looking for that Leah McCourt fight in Bellator, but didn't Leah she just got beat though, right?
Yeah. And I mean,
recently.
Is Leah on the level of Larissa? I love Leah, but I mean, does Leah give Chris a tougher fight than what she just saw here? This is one of her tougher fights today. She had to dig deep. She got cut. She was bleeding.
I don't think, honestly, I don't think anyone on the Bellator or PFL roster can beat Chris. I think Larissa was the closest competitor to possibly doing that.
If only there was a former Invicta champion out there, not contractually tied to any, or maybe you are. Do you still have fights on your contract?
No, I don't.
Is this it?
No.
Is this the seed? Is this it?
No. Stop it. No. I had to have 2 surgeries on my nose to get it fixed so I could breathe properly. I'm like, my surgeon was just like, listen, like, I'm only going to do this if you're like done. I was like, okay, I'm done. Like, I want to be able to breathe properly. So no, I'll interview Chris. I'll get Alice about it.
Grappling? Can you even do that, or is that too tricky?
I mean, I could grapple, but I just haven't grappled. I got nails now, Ariel. Like, I'm like girly girl now.
I get it. Do you do any training anymore? Like,
I haven't done any MMA training. I do, like, I just recently moved to a different city, so I do want to get I want to get back into boxing because I do miss like hitting mitts and stuff like that. But I haven't done any MMA training since I last fought, which was March of 21.
Serious? Not even like for fun?
No.
Wow. Is it because I've heard this sometimes from basketball players? They say, I didn't pick up a ball for 5-6 years after I retired, 10 years. Is it because you just want nothing to do with that chapter anymore? Or is it you're tired? Like what?
A bit of both, like partly like because I left the gym and stuff like that in Kansas City. And partly because like I did not want to do any form of MMA training for so long. Like I go to the gym and I lift weights and stuff like that, so I still stay in shape. But I do want to get back into like hitting mitts and stuff like that, because that's the part. Like obviously, I'm a striker at heart. Like I like being able to knock people out. Like that was always my thing. So I do want to get back into doing that and finding somebody to hold mitts for me, because it's fun. Like I'm so far removed from it now that like I've kind of processed all that stuff, and I can like find enjoyment in it again.
I box a couple of times a week, so.
Oh really? I love that.
Yeah. Look.
Okay. Oh my God. I love it.
Why are you laughing?
It's the sound effects for me. Oh, that's funny. I love it, Ariel.
I could get one of those fights. Why not? Why not me?
Do like you versus Ben Davis influencer
come on,
fight.
Ben ain't on my level. What are you talking about? I don't fight jabronis. I don't fight guys on 5-fight losing streaks.
Get Ben in there.
Come on.
Hey, he'll do it though.
He will do it.
That's you have to respect him. He does it. He gets in there, win, lose or draw. Yeah. He puts it on the line. He puts his money where his mouth is.
And it probably isn't a very expensive opponent to line up, but no, if I fight, I'm going for maybe a Jake Paul fight. You never know. No, I'm just kidding. He's probably listening to this right now. I don't want that smoke. Megan,
do something. I want to see.
No,
or like
do
a grappling. Do like a grappling match with somebody who doesn't.
Listen, we're both retired. Okay, from athletics, we're both retired. We're done. Okay, I'm not going to drag you back. You don't drag me back.
Okay, perfect.
But this was fantastic. Really, really fun. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for the insight. You keep doing great work on TV. You've got Fight Camp with ESPN. You're doing fantastic stuff with Invicta as well. So well done to you. Keep it up. And we'll talk to you very soon.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. I love this format.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Talk to you soon. There she is, Megan Anderson, former Invicta champ. By the way, you guys notice that it's nighttime? You notice that there's an actual window back here? The sun's set, and it's 6:51 p.m. Eastern, and there's lights, and it's dark. Go back to the beginning of the show. If you've been watching, it was sunny out, and now it's dark, and now it is time. We got La Problema coming up, so obviously we had to get the problem child. You see what I did? La Problema, problem child. Let us go to Puerto Rico and be joined by the man who's fighting Mike Tyson in about a month's time. There he is. Jake, what'd you think?
Bro, honestly, you got some skill. You got some skill, bro.
Come on.
It's definitely actually improved since the last time I saw you shadow box.
I'm legit doing it twice a week.
And how long have you been doing that for?
2 years. By the way, did you become Chechen or something? What's going on with the beard? It's much longer now. What's happening?
Man, I'm just letting it grow out. The side angle is crazy.
Holy shit, man.
Yeah, I'm just here, bro. All I do is train in Puerto Rico, and like I don't see anybody. So like oftentimes I'm just not getting haircuts and stuff for long periods of time. But I feel like it's fitting. But I'm not sure what Chechen is. I don't think I've ever heard of that.
Oh, you know, like Hamza, they have the long beard and they have the short mustache. You know, they have always long beard and short mustache. So I feel like you were going with the Chechen look.
I thought that was like Dagestan.
Dagestan, Chechen. I mean, they're not actually not friends, but it's sort of like that Caucasus region. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Caucasus.
By the way, you could get someone to come to your house to cut your hair easy, like at any hour.
But there's just no point, you know. There's just no point. Like, and I hate getting haircuts because I have ADHD, and I just hate sitting in the same spot for anything longer than like 5 minutes, 10 minutes.
I've always felt that it was rude looking at your phone when you're getting a haircut because I feel like the barber is insulted that you're not locked in. How do you feel about that?
No, bro. I have a big thing about this actually. I hate when barbers try and talk to me. I hate it. I absolutely
even if it's a
hate it.
pal, like if you're boys with them.
That is a slightly different, but like most of the time, like it's 30 minutes for me to be on my phone and like get some work done. And I'm not trying to have like the barber shop vibe in my house. Like,
Fair.
oh, dude. And then we're having a conversation. Then, they're hanging out with the Clippers for like 30 seconds talking to someone about a punch or a street fight they got into. And it's like, bro, I don't want to sit here. This cape is hot. I hate people touching my face. Like, just get this over with. And yeah, man, it's like, I feel like they think they have to talk to people because it's like how they are in the barbershop. But man, I'm not trying to be on a podcast during my haircut.
And it's not like a trip to the psychologist. Someone wants to ask you about your life, your day. Like this isn't a check-in on my life. Let's just
exactly no. And a lot of the things are like very personal. It's like, oh, I seen you have a girlfriend. Like, what's that like? It's like, what's your? I don't know your name. I don't know your name. I don't know your name. Like. It is a pet peeve, and I've seen it happen many times because I go to so many different cities. So a lot of times I'm seeing barbers for the first time or trying to find someone in Paris or wherever you know, and then like it turns into an interview, and it's funny you bring that up.
Yeah, no, it's a thing. Here's Renan Ferreira. We're going to see him and Francis Ngannou in a moment. Before we really get into this main event, and it's great for you to join us on our very first Helwanivision. This has been a fantastic time. Sort of like Manning Cast, like we've been sitting here watching fights. I'm assuming you can see Renan here as well. This is top-notch stuff. I did have Alex Pereira on my show on Thursday. Did you catch wind of that? I asked him about you.
I didn't actually catch wind of that. I haven't been on social media much and like keeping tabs of the world of combat sports. I'm just so focused, and training's been harder than ever. So I'm just like, this is interesting. He just kissed the mat like that. But no, I didn't see that. I didn't see that.
I mean, you could have. I mean, you just could have lied and said, "Yeah, man, that was a great interview."
That was. Ask me again.
Yeah, no. So we had Alex Pereira on my show on Thursday.
I saw that, dude.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate you because we just started this new thing here with Yahoo Uncrowned. Is a huge deal. You probably heard of
all that. That was a great interview. I saw what he said about me too.
Yeah. Okay. So here it is. Here's what Alex said when I asked him about you. Jake Paul continues to say that he would like to box you. He would like to fight you in a boxing match. When you hear this, what is your reaction, and are you at all interested in pursuing this?
O Anthony Joshua falou que gostaria de você boxear, e você escreveu, né, com quem gostaria de me ver boxear. Pô, o Jake Paul continua falando, né, que quer lutar com você e tal. O que você acha disso aí, se é uma coisa que te interessa?
Até me interessa, sim, mas, pô, todo mundo sabe que tem contrato com o UFC, então...
It's coming, I promise.
Como que faz isso? Né? Eu acho que...
It's coming, it's coming.
Tá vendo, né?
Just roll the translator.
No, I know, we probably should have done that. We screwed that up. That's on me.
E eu acho que ele sabe
I think they thought you spoke Portuguese.
É muito difícil e tá falando.
No, it's coming. We should have dubbed it.
Evento assim que
that's an L.
Deixasse
the kids would say that's an L.
Né? E pudesse lutar em qualquer modalidade.
This is the longest 30 seconds of my life.
Falando assim dessa forma, não sei.
Okay, here it comes.
Well, I'm gonna be honest. It's of course something that interests me, but he knows that I'm on a contract to the UFC and I cannot just leave. I think that's why he calls and he says all that. Because I think if the UFC was a league that allows everybody to fight anywhere, I don't think he'll be saying that.
Jake Paul continues. Okay, so there it is. He knows that I'm under contract.
Of course, he's gonna hide behind that. First of all, I don't know how many fights he has under UFC contract, and I've fought many UFC fighters who have gotten out of their contracts. So for him to say that, it's pointless. It doesn't make any sense. There's no meaning or weight behind it because I don't know how many fights he has, and he can oftentimes leave. We're watching a man right now, Francis Ngannou, who left the UFC, in his prime at the height of his career. So I want Alex Pereira. They're going to duck behind shit. Fans are going to say, oh, of course he's calling him out because he's in a UFC contract. But I've beaten and starched every MMA fighter that I've boxed. And I believe I would do the same. Khalil Roundtree exposed that Alex Pereira has a weak body, isn't that good, doesn't have a high pace. And yes, he has one-shot knockout power, but boxing's a different sport. And I'm able to match his power, which a lot of guys aren't able to do. So he would have to respect me from early on. And I know I would beat Alex Pereira and shock the whole world, and that's why I want to do it.
What do you think this man is thinking right now after everything he's been through this year, Jake? Obviously, the loss to Joshua we thought was going to be the biggest setback, but pales in comparison to the personal tragedy that his family has had to endure. What do you think Francis is thinking about right now?
Man, I think he's thinking about this being his moment to prove everyone wrong, to prove to the world, who he is, that no matter, losing to Joshua and going through adversity, that's been the story of his whole career. And I think tonight he wants to remind everyone of that and to show that he is still the baddest man on the planet, and to take out a very, 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 very competitive, athletic giant in Renan Ferreira. And I'm sure he's locked in. But he doesn't have an easy fight ahead of him. So I'm on the edge of my seat with this one. Like, it could end at any moment.
This is historic stuff, by the way. First time ever that we will get a true lineal MMA heavyweight champion, because right now being defended, for all intents and purposes, the Pride, Strikeforce, UFC, Bellator, and PFL title, heavyweight title on the line. Never happened before.
That's crazy. I didn't think
it's pretty
about
wild
that.
when you think of it that way, right?
Yeah, that's wild. The lineal heavyweight champion.
I actually think they should have promoted it as such. Like, Battle of Giants is cool, but like, this is historic stuff. This is once in a lifetime.
Well, honestly, though, the casual doesn't know what lineal means, though. That's the problem.
This is a big dude right here. You sat between them. You did the presser. By the way, thanks for the shout out when you did the presser. You did not bad, if I'm being honest.
Thank you. I was nervous, bro. I'm usually the guy who's getting asked the questions or like on stage, but having to like give a ton of information for 3 minutes is not easy. So props to you.
You've gained respect for the likes of me.
Yeah, trust me. I always knew it was hard, but it's even harder when you go and do it. So I always had respect, and you rattle off 15 different fighters' names and records and hometowns and stats and shit all in one press conference. So
you
definitely
you sat between them. Dare I say you were in the thick of it between them?
Yeah. Man, these guys are even bigger than they look here. And basically me standing there was pointless because me doing this as hard as I could didn't move them an inch. My plan was, because it honestly felt like they were going to start fighting based off of the things that Ferreira said. And I was like, yo, I'm not going to get in the middle of this. But now
you weren't quite heavyweight at that point. You weren't quite where you're at right now. I have to tell you, Jake, my hand, I'm legit. My palms are sweaty right now. Like, I'm legit. I feel like, oh, Eddie Hearn. Uh-oh. What's he doing there? We won't talk about. I'm legit nervous right now.
Yeah, me too. Like, honestly, this is not an easy fight for Francis. Ferreira has jiu-jitsu as well, so I think a lot of times where Francis takes his opponents down and starts the ground pound.
I'm setting the line at 1.5. Does it go past? Over, under?
Ooh, nice leg kick to start it. I think it's going to go over 1.5.
I'm going under. Oh, returns the favor.
Back-to-back leg kicks.
Yo, look at that.
So these guys are so wow.
Fucking two behemoths.
Yeah, I saw someone tweet like 3 heavyweights when it was us 3 standing together, and I was just like, bro, I'm not. Technically, I'm a heavyweight, but it is hilarious that they're so much bigger.
Nah, this isn't going 1.5. I feel something. I feel like the first punch.
It always feels like that when heavyweights are in the ring. There's like so much tension.
Oh gosh, bad intentions, Jake. This is bad intentions. This is another one. Oh, that one buckled him.
Francis is bringing in the pressure though.
Ooh, see, he went for the takedown. Yep. Francis said, "Okay, I'm done with these leg kicks." Right?
That's an interesting strategy to go through, but also definitely smart. I think they would expect him to just stand up the whole entire time.
The Vuvuzelas are out. They were out when he fought Anthony Joshua. Can I ask you about this, Jake? I was worried for Francis's sake. He does the 2 boxing matches. That changes his style. We saw what it did to Conor, right, when he went to fight Floyd. Are you at early days here in the fight, but are you worried that may change him and affect him negatively as a fighter?
Yeah,
MMA.
no, I definitely was worried about that as well. Just the inactivity for 2 years. How does that translate? Boxing's such a different sport than MMA, but he comes right back into this takedown and seems to feel comfortable in there. But maybe that was his strategy first round, just show him he could wrestle, tire him out a little bit, and then box. But when you come back from a knockout too, like this is the jiu-jitsu I'm talking about though.
Yo, going for the triangle choke. But to your point, prior to this, the last time we saw Francis coming off a loss, it changed him dramatically as a fighter. He lost to Stipe the first time he fought for the belt, and then against Derek Lewis, he was gun-shy. He never threw. And so I, too, was wondering how the knockout would change him as a fighter. We don't often see him use offensive wrestling. Against Ciryl Gane, he had to dig deep because he was down 2 rounds to none. A lot of it was defensive, too. This is not a spot that we usually see Francis in.
Yeah, and if he could keep his weight on him and wear Ferreira out, that's going to be a massive advantage. These big guys probably feel so much more comfortable on feet. That ground, that's what I was saying, is the ground and pound. But
okay, now Ferreira wants nothing to do with this.
Yeah, and that's expending a lot of energy down there. So, and especially as a heavyweight. You know how hard it is to get like a giant leg like this up under you to stand up?
Yeah. Oh, man. Those are connecting. Those are connecting in a big way. This fight might be over. He's out. I think he's out. He's out. He's out, Jake.
Oh, my gosh.
He's back. Y'all must have forgot.
He's back.
Francis is fucking back, Jake. He's back. What do they say now about him? The lineal heavyweight champion of the world, the baddest man on the planet. What do they say now about him, Jake?
Man, everyone zip quiet. First ever doggy style knockout.
Woo! Hey, Jake, next month, the day after your fight at Madison Square Garden, there's John Jones versus Stipe. Those guys can't say they are the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. No way. Not when that man is winning still. And I don't care. They could take it away from him and say Rener Ferreira is in top 10. That man is a badass motherfucker.
He just made a statement, man. That's giving me goosebumps right now. Lineal heavyweight champion in MMA, the first ever. And like we've been saying, he's the baddest man on the planet. He just had to remind everyone. And boy, do I dream about him versus John Jones. But I think just like Alex Pereira fighting me, Dana's probably scared of that.
Jake, I think we're seeing a lot of emotion from Francis right now. And when you consider everything he's been through, and I would imagine he's thinking about his son Kobe right now. Look at the emotion from this man who has been unflappable and stoic throughout so much, who has overcome so much. I've never seen him this emotional.
Man, and hats off to him. A lot of times, he's going to be holding in all that emotion because he has to stay focused, and when he wins, it all comes out. And his coach Dewey
Look at
there.
Dewey, yeah. This is amazing. I'm getting chills right now. Look at this. Eric Nixick is like his brother. Think about what these guys have been through.
Good for him, man. He deserves.
Oh
this.
my gosh, look at this.
He's a GOAT.
Jake, I was there when he got knocked out by AJ in the same exact city. That was scary stuff. He didn't move. Like Nixick and those guys ran in. He was out. To think 7 months later and everything he's been through in between, unfathomable what he's been through. To do that against that big boy that everyone's saying Francis is done, Francis is toast, he's fallen off. This is one of the great scenes of this year.
And that's the name of the game, man. A lot of people in this sport, the critics, the fans are fickle. They're quick to give up on you, but this guy's a legend, and he knows what it means to be a fighter and to come back from losses, and he's had to fight for everything in his life. It's such a cool moment and a statement for all of MMA to leave the UFC, go to the PFL, get the money that you're deserved, make bank, and put on a statement like that against the PFL's, best heavyweight. He's, tens of millions of dollars richer now when he was getting paid $600K for a fight, and he just got a first round doggy style KO. God, I mean, this is peak Francis Ngannou that we're seeing here right now, and I'm just so happy for him.
And by the way, Jake, not mentioned enough, Ferreira got $2 million for this. Part of the deal was that your opponent gets paid as well. That's what he wanted, right? Part of the deal was, I don't want my opponent to make $100,000 to fight me. And I think people don't give him enough credit for that.
No, exactly. And that's what this is all about for Francis, is helping other fighters. And that's why him and I have connected so much, is the bigger vision of how he wants to help the world and help fighters, and to prove a point that PFL is the best place for MMA fighters to get what they deserve. And it's cool to see him, maybe take a little bit less pay, to see another guy like that get paid more than he ever would in the UFC for a fight like this.
I'm supposed to be a journalist, and I try to keep it real, but I do have to say, I am so happy for this man right now, and nothing can take away what he's been through this year. Nothing can make it better, can rectify it. But man, Francis to me is just a good human being. And when you get to know him and you get to learn about his heart and what he stands for and what he believes in. Remember, there was once a time, Jake, when he left the UFC and everyone said he fucked up by just doing that, even before signing with PFL, even before getting the Tyson fight, even before getting the AJ fight, that it was the biggest mistake. He fumbled the bag, Jake. Look at this man now.
Yeah.
He fumbled the bag.
No, that's why I'm so happy for him, is because above all else, fighters go through so much, and oftentimes they're taken advantage of or not paid what they're supposed to. I mean, that's Amanda Serrano's story. And so to see him shine in this moment on a big stage after being inactive, getting knocked out, what happened with his son, he's a legend, bro. He just solidified himself with this performance, and I'm excited to see what's next. I don't know, man. It only gets bigger from here.
I would like for him to stick with MMA for now, see where he can take this, see what he can do in the PFL, see who they can get for him. That's going to be a big challenge, no doubt about it. There aren't a ton of options at heavyweight. I would like to see his next fight, whenever he fights again, be in MMA. You?
Yeah, no, I think so as well. I think he already did, the biggest of the biggest in boxing, and now seeing him in, his natural habitat and doing what he does best, being the baddest man on the planet in mixed martial arts.
Well done, Francis. Well done. We're going to hear from him in a second here. I'm curious to hear the emotion in his voice. Can't imagine how he's feeling. The last time we saw him draped with the belt was January of 2022. The last time he fought in MMA, January of 2022. That's almost 3 years ago. And here he is. Francis Ngannou, Le Prédateur. Let's listen in.
Francis, congratulations, my friend. I can only imagine what's going through your mind. A month ago, I asked you if you got a win tonight, how you thought it would feel. You said that you could not even predict it. How does this moment feel to you right now?
I don't know. I can just think about anything. That my son could be, I only take this fight because of him. I wanted to fight for him. But that. And I'm done. So, I don't know. I hope they can remember his name, because without Kobe, we wouldn't be here tonight. I wouldn't have fight. But thank you everyone for coming. And thank you for Saudi Arabia. Thank you for Riyadh to be a great host, to always having us here, taking good care of us. For the people here, very lovely, supporting. I think today I have more than a fan base in Saudi. I think in Riyadh I have what I could call in another way, a family. Thank you guys.
Francis, you are no stranger to difficulties and challenges in your life. After what you just described, I don't think many other human beings can even picture walking out with that on their mind. What was it like for you to walk to this cage tonight?
He was tough. He's been tough. The past, I think, not only the training camp was tough, but the past 2 days were very tough, full of emotion. Couldn't do anything without thinking about it. I mean, I'm trying to say I will be strong, tell myself everything to keep moving, but it's hard, man. It's just hard.
Well, Francis, for the fight itself, you hadn't been in an MMA cage for 2 years. You were in a boxing ring. It did look like you missed a step. How comfortable did you feel out there with all of your weapons at hand?
No, I knew I didn't miss a step. I wasn't worried about it because as soon as I walked in the gym for MMA, I knew that everything was still there. It was just about me being able to manage my emotion, deal with life separately, not mix up stuff. So that's basically what I was about. I've been working on. And yes, we're here. I think we finally get the result. Thanks to my team, for my family, everybody that been around here. Some of them are stripped and which been away from their family for almost 2 months to support me in my crazy journey, to my crazy dream, which has no limit. Sometimes I don't know if my dream even has sense, but here we are. Thank you, guys.
Well done.
You said all along that you are a full mixed martial artist. Oh. Did you envision taking this fight to the floor, or was that something that you saw when you got out there?
Jake, the way this is like being shot, it almost feels like a movie, right? Like it almost feels like this is like the closing scene of a movie.
So that means
it really does. So you can feel the emotion. That was
definitely a hard shot. Not
just the setting, everything about it. It just real, man. I got chills on the back of my neck. Man, this guy. You just gotta love him, man. Shout out to Francis and Kobe.
Last year's PFL champion. How will you decide
Man.
your next move?
Oh, let's listen to this. This is the next step.
I think my next move in combat sport is all depend on me, how I feel, how I deal with my life right now. But otherwise, I think I always thought like I still had a lot to give in the combat sport, and hopefully I keep thinking that way. I keep that thought alive.
I don't think there's any doubt about that. Last thing I want to have for you is, I know that this night was not about belts. It was not about money. It wasn't even to an extent about you. It was about Kobe. So I want the final thing for you to say is just what do you want to say about your son tonight?
Well, I just want to say, please remember my son Kobe. And then I dedicate this for him. This for Kobe. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Francis. Sean, back to you.
Well done. Well done. That was incredible stuff. And happy we got to watch it together, Jake. Amazing, amazing, amazing scenes here in Riyadh. And when you consider, again, 7 months ago, this guy was knocked out brutally cold in that same city. For him to come back after everything he's been through. His life is a movie. Someone needs to make that movie. Like, not the documentary of it. Like, it's an actual, like, theatrical movie that can be made. And it still would seem unreal.
For sure. Someone needs to turn it into a scripted movie. 1000%, man. Like, it's just as good as Rocky, if not better.
Oh.
He's a modern day hero, modern day Rocky, and I'm sure, hey, Hollywood, let's make it happen. This guy has a gnarly story.
He's crossing the desert 6 times. He's almost dying. He's getting put in jail. Insane stuff. You're doing something insane in a month against Mike Tyson. A little less than a month, I should say. But here we are. I saw the video of you sparring recently. Do we get an official prediction? Do we have something in our mind? Do we have a thought that keeps creeping in? What are we feeling as November 15th is rapidly approaching?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a tough first 3 to 5 rounds. I think I can finish him in rounds 5 or 6 is what I've been feeling. And yeah, I know he's going to bring the old Mike Tyson back, and he's got the weight advantage. He's looking thick, doing his neck workouts. But we're training hard, man. This is the hardest I've gone for a fight. I'm absolutely dialed in, and I'm feeling really good, feeling really sharp, feeling really powerful, dropping 300-pound heavyweights in sparring. And, I think that's what's going to happen on fight night.
How much you weigh right now?
I'm like 225.
How much do you think you'll weigh on the Friday before, or the Thursday before, because it's a Friday fight?
I'll probably just stay right here. I'll probably be 225.
Okay. All right. Well, can't wait for it. I look forward to seeing you out there. Should be a fun time. This was a fun time. Thanks for joining us. This was a lot of fun. Let's do it again.
Let's do it again, brother. Always good to see you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Jake. All the best. There he is, Jake Paul, returning to action on November 15th. But for now, the story, of course, is that man, Le Prédateur. First guest ever in the history of the new era here. And, well, I hope I get to speak to him very soon, because he continues to inspire. He continues to blow us away. He continues to be an unbelievable story, and he continues to be the story. Whether it's MMA or boxing these days, he continues to be the story. A lot of people doubted him going into this fight, considering everything he's been through, considering the knockout loss, considering the unfortunate passing, the tragic passing of his son, Kobe. But here he is. Doubt this man at your peril. Y'all must have forgot. Francis Ngannou, still the baddest mother effer on the planet. That's the real BMF champion. That guy right there. I don't want to hear it from anyone else. The lineal MMA heavyweight champion of the world, the baddest motherfucker in the world is that man, Francis Ngannou. He wins via dominant ground and pound. He's the PFL super fight champion. And now I'd like to see him do a little more MMA. This has been a lot of fun. I'd like to see more Helwanivision. And the beauty of Helwanivision is we could take it wherever we want to go, anywhere we want to go, anything. Uncrowned, we're like that promoter, open for business. We're like the Turkey Al Sheikh of combat content. We're open for business with everyone. And if you're watching us live right now on DAZN pay-per-view, and thank you very much to DAZN for carrying this exclusively, we're going to head over to the brand new Ariel Helwani Show YouTube channel for our post-fight show. Myself, Pete Carroll, Chuck Mindenhall. We're going to break it all down, react to it all, and then, of course, we'll be back Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Boys in the Back on Thursday, Friday, The Crack, and then we'll have another fun weekend coming your way on next Saturday, a week from today. For now, though, we're out of time. What a day it has been. What a fun time we had. Thank you very much to Rob Gronkowski. Thank you very much to Tyron Woodley. Thank you very much to Chael Sonnen. Thank you very much to Tim Welch. Thank you very much to Megan Anderson. Thank you very much to Jake Paul. Thank you to DAZN. Thank you to Francis Ngannou for continuing to wow us and inspire us. Hope you enjoyed the very first edition of Helwanivision. It rhymes. And we're going to do this very soon. Already plans in place. For now, though, we got to go to the post-fight show. Thank you so much for ordering. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for hanging with us. We're going to do this again soon. But for now, we're out of here.